She says, Mark, I expect a discussion over the weekend. Subject, people that say bloody daylight savings, it's not a bank account. No, it's daylight saving, not daylight savings. So there you are. Daylight saving. It all comes to an end on Sunday morning at 3 a.m. when it then becomes 2 a.m. Well, it's been a busy week. Thank you for your company. A lot of the news stemming out of the United States this week with all the tariffs and everything else. So I'm sure that'll all unfold. We'll keep an eye on the finance markets. But most of all, have a great weekend. I'll be back with you tonight.
suites and contemporary living spaces. With a 100% project completion rate, we're shaping the future of Sydney's urban lifestyle. A-Land, designed for modern day living. aland.com.au.
A help company would offer anyone can drive it cover because we don't want a minor scrape to your car putting a strain on a friendship or creating family drama. So that's what we're doing. Visit us in branch or search Anyone Can Drive It cover from NRMA Insurance, a help company. Excesses may apply. Refer to your certificate of insurance. Cover is subject to standard underwriting guidelines and policy terms. Always read the PDS and TMDs from NRMA Insurance at nrma.com.au.
2GB weather. Rain, hail or shine, we'll be here to help when unexpected weather comes your way. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
Sunny, but the slight chance of a shower this afternoon. Light winds. Sunny tomorrow. 16 to 25 on the coast, 12 to 26 in the west. Further ahead, sunny for Sunday. Mostly sunny Monday, a shower or two Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now in the city, 24 degrees. Humidity 62%. Winds nor'east at 4 kilometres an hour. Bankstown 25 degrees. Campbelltown, Penrith 24. Lucas Heights 21. I'm Erin Marr. There'll be more news at 1 on your news leader, Sydney's 2GB.
On 2GB and network stations. Yeah. This is Afternoons with Michael McLaren.
Well, it is, and it's Friday. We're at the end of the working week. The election campaign rolls on. Thank you for your company. Nice to be with you, and hopefully you can stay with us for the better part of the next 3 hours because we've got some good guests coming your way over that time. 131873 is the open line number, as you know. Just call if there's something on your mind. And look, so I keep reminding people, you drive the program. We're just the jock. So if there's something on your mind, something you're thinking about, something you're talking about, something you think should be raised, and we haven't done it, we'll take the initiative and do it. 131873. You can text, of course, 0460 873 873. And there's always email, and we get wonderful email correspondence from people with a little bit more meat to the bone of the substance of what it is that a text doesn't allow for, obviously. 2gb.com, click on the feedback icon, whether you're in West Virginia or Western Sydney. Both of our political aspirants are in, prime ministerial aspirants anyway, are in Western Sydney. There's a Daily Telegraph forum underway. The Prime Minister has just spoken. Peter Dutton is speaking now. And there seems to be a bit of a pep in Dutton's step today. I don't know, he's looking more convincing, more animated, more engaged. That's a good thing. Perhaps the Liberal campaign heard what many of you were saying on the open line yesterday and said, all right, come on, let's pull the finger out, let's get going. Don't forget, pre-poll voting opens on the 22nd of this month. So people talk about the election campaign being 5 or 6 weeks. Well, yeah, in theory, but people, and many do, start casting their ballots well and truly before we get into that final week. So you don't have that full amount of time to drip feed your ideas and to prosecute the case. You've got to do it now. You've got to do the hard work now. Now, look, obviously, globally, the attention's still on these tariffs. I'll speak with Timothy Lynch, very, very bright man, professor of political science at the University of Melbourne, writes really well. But he was writing today in The Australian, getting us to try to look at this, not through an economic prism, there's 1,000 people doing that, but to look at the whole tariff movement culturally. And he's written a piece titled "The Real Story of Liberation Day Was Not Economics, It Was Culture." And he says, look, this ties into the broader MAGA ideology. And he explains why. And it's a pretty compelling argument. And I'll speak with him later this hour. I think you'll enjoy that. Equally, I think you'll enjoy hearing from the wonderful Peter Overton, one of the people that I admire in the media. Peter is a decent human being. He's a gentleman. And, the media can be a cutthroat business, and not everyone that operates in the media is necessarily a lady or a gentleman. But Peter certainly is. And I admire him for that. I admire him for his longevity in the role that he occupies as the main newsreader for Channel 9 in Sydney, of course. Very competitive role. And I admire him in the way that he can communicate a message trustworthy. And I think that's a difficult thing to achieve. I mean, we try to do it here, but when you're reading the news, I suppose to a degree anyone can read a teleprompt, but communicating in a way that the people then receiving that message in their lounge rooms believe what you're saying to be true, that's an art form. And Peter seems to have worked that out better than almost anybody. So I look forward to speaking to him on the eve of his birthday. He's turning 59 tomorrow. We were going to speak to him because the sources that we rely on reliably informed us that he was turning 60. But we've removed one of the candles from the cake. We'll save that for next year. Let's call it inflation. Alice will be back with our real estate segment at 1:30. Now, don't forget, if you want your property valued in the weeks ahead, get in touch. There's a page off my part of the 2GB.com website, but you can call here and we'll put your details in for you. So if you want an appraisal of your property, you don't have to be selling. You might just be interested. What's it worth? 131873. Get in touch with the team out there. We'll put you in touch with Domain, well, your details anyway, and we'll get you on air and we'll talk about the property in the weeks ahead. And for Friday food, well, of course, the focus at the moment with tariffs is beef. We're going to throw our support behind the Australian meat industry. I'll speak to the generator start today by appealing to any historians out there that might be listening. And I want to ask you this. Has there ever been 1873? Seriously, has there ever been someone like that? I mean, I can't think of an individual, be they a sporting star, a movie star, a president or a warlord, that's absorbed so much focus and so many column inches, not just at home but around the world, as Trump. I mean, he is the omnipresent force, a political black hole that just sucks everything in. Now, obviously, the past 24 hours has been particularly intense with all the tariff stuff, but I did a quick whip around before coming on air to count the number of stories that featured the word Trump in the headline or the first paragraph. At the Sydney Morning Herald, it was at least 17. At the Oz, it was 18. The ABC Online, they came in a little bit more modest at 11, but they had a lot of other stories about Trump that just didn't explicitly use his name in the first paragraph. Over at the Fin Review, it was 19, and it goes on. And of course, tariffs are not this sort of phenomena. It's actually nothing new. In fact, despite Australia being in the middle of a federal election campaign, I reckon it'd be odds on that the name Trump appears more frequently in our major newspapers than either the names Albanese or Dutton. Go and have a look. Go online and check it out. It's true. Now, like him or loathe him, and I reckon the loathe camp are probably in the ascendancy right now, certainly on Norfolk Island, Donald Trump has mastered the art of becoming the story. And with the platform now all to himself, he's basically rendered everything else irrelevant. About the only way the Democrats in America get any attention these days is to pull on a stunt like that senator did the other day with his 25-hour bladder-defying filibuster. And even most of the anti-Trump cable networks are suffering relevance deprivation, plunging viewership figures and declining revenues. Now, of course, all of this could change. The frenetic pace of change that Trump has inflicted on the American economy and society could. And even most of the anti-Trump cable networks are suffering relevance deprivation, plunging viewership figures and declining revenues. Now, of course, all of this could change. The frenetic pace of change that Trump has inflicted on the American economy and society could whiplash. But at this point, despite massive stock losses, that signal intelligence breach, the Ukraine situation, Tesla in all sorts of strife and all the rest, Trump's opponents seem incapable of landing a glove. In fact, earlier in the week, 2 Florida seats in the Congress came up for re-election, and the Republicans held both of them, and comfortably. Mind you, if the economy crunches under the weight of tariffs and if the cascade of manufacturing jobs doesn't materialise in the Rust Belt, the MAGA ideology could cop a reality check come the midterms. Just let's see. But in the meantime, while the president remakes America in the MAGA image, he's inadvertently remaking the political landscape across the Western world at the same time. Now, it was only a couple of months ago that Canada's Liberal Party were out for the count. They were gone. Led by the increasingly unpopular Justin Trudeau, they were on the verge of political obliteration. The Conservatives, led by the charismatic Pierre, the Conservatives were polling at 44% primary vote. This is in Canada. Compared to the Liberals, and they're sort of left, they're not. Then Trump turned his attention to Canada. The would-be 44. That was January 6. Yesterday, the Liberals were on 43. Now, with Trudeau replaced by the former bank governor Mark Carney, the left perspective. On January 6, the Conservatives were polling at 44% primary vote. This is in Canada. Compared to the Liberals, and they're sort of left, they're not liberal like they are here. The Liberals were on 20, the Conservatives 44. That was January 6. Yesterday, the Liberals were on 43. Now, for many outside the United States, Trump's going too far, too fast. The recalibration against DEI, well, that was well enough received. The determination to cut waste is, well, that's something most sensible people realise has to happen in London, Canberra, Ottawa, as much as Washington. But everything, everywhere, all at once, with the tariff cherry on top, bit too big a mouthful for many. And the instability and fear that accompany it are driving people back to the predictability of incumbency. In other words, despite becoming the flag bearer for conservatism around the Western world, Trump is actually now proving to be a drag on conservatives' chances across the Western world. Now, it's early days. But one of the ironies of the second coming of Trump might be that it denies the resurrection of the right of centre parties in many allied jurisdictions. For Dutton and his political kith and kin around the world, all of a sudden, it's not the 10% tariff on beef that's the issue. It's the political tariff that Trump is indirectly imposing on their campaigns that's proving to be the most dear. A tariff that, well, only a month or two ago, at the height of MAGA cultural euphoria, they and very few others saw coming.
Dan Murphy's March catalogue is out now with great drinks at even better prices, like Asahi Super Dry 330ml bottles, 24 case, only $52 for My Dan's members. Offers end April 9. Choose to drink wise. Conditions apply.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run-out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Taking business payments with Westpac EFTPOS Air is as easy as, well, doing anything on your phone. As easy as checking your emails, or messaging your nan, or watching your favourite cat video. Classic. There's no extra hardware needed. The app turns your phone into an EFTPOS terminal and your funds are settled the same day. Take payments easily. Search Westpac EFTPOS Air to learn more. Eligibility criteria, T's and C's, fees and charges apply. Westpac business transaction account required. Available on compatible mobile devices and tablets only.
This year at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, we're going awards crazy. How about an award for biggest firework fanatic? Find your happy place at the Sydney Royal Easter Show and you're sure to be a winner. Tickets selling fast. Grab yours today.
Autumn is planting season. The weather's perfect and it's easy to dig deep into the warm soil. But you won't have to dig deep into your budget because right now at Flower Power, all full-priced plants are 20 to 50% off. Our expert staff can help you choose just what's right for your garden from Sydney's largest range of quality indoor and outdoor plants. So make the most of perfect conditions for planting and saving with 20 to 50% off all plants in-store and online at Flower Power, the garden people.
If you love sport, then you'll love this better offer. For all NRL games this weekend, bet on the match result in any game. And if your team leads by 6 or more at halftime, you'll get paid. 6 up, you're a winner. That's better.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves, plus selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7th. Exclusions apply.
Attention comfort seekers, now's your chance to save big with the first ever Lazy Boy flash sale. Save 30 to 50% off all Lazy Boy for 4 days only. That's all sofas, recliners, lift chairs and more. Participating Lazy Boy stockists only. Lazy Boy, long live the lazy.
Afternoons on 2GB. Unlock Noosa Living with Endeavour Foundation Lotteries. Win a $2.9 million prize home for just $10 mortgage free. EndeavourLotteries.com.au.
Karen on the text says perhaps the late Princess Diana would be up there with Trump. Look, yes, certainly when she died and the fallout for about a month after that, where the princes were up in Scotland and the Queen wasn't in London and this. Okay, yes, but I think broadly speaking, Trump demands so much more media attention than even Princess Diana could ever have. Across the world, day after day. I mean, it's just endless, right? Endless. And even if you don't want to read a story about Trump, you can't avoid it. It's just everywhere. Now, okay, that's part of his playbook, and it's worked for him, and it could work against him and work for him again. And I mean, it's all very turbulent. But I just can't think. And someone said, "Oh, what about Hitler in World War II?" Maybe, but look, I don't think Hitler was getting as many column inches in the Sydney Morning Herald and the equivalent newspapers here and around the world, day after day, dominating the headlines as Trump does. I don't think the name Hitler would have been there day after day after day after day in 20 or 18, 19, 20 editorials, opinion pieces and news stories every day. They just wouldn't. And yet here it is with Trump. There's an obsession, right? It's a fixation. I don't know what it is. Anyway, if someone can suggest to me someone who's been more dominant for longer in the media, I would love to hear it. 131873. Julie on the text says, repolling. She says, I've done an unofficial poll with friends and relatives Australia-wide. Not one person will vote for Albanese. I also spent the morning in hospital, and the person opposite me made a statement he'd never vote for Albanese again. None of these people have been counted in an official poll. She says, I don't have any faith in the polls. I believe there to be an overwhelming vote against Albanese. Well, there will be, Julie. You're right. There will be an overwhelming vote against Albanese. He won't get more than 50. He might get Labor, that is. 32, maybe, % of the vote. So 60-odd% will be voting for someone else. But whether the coalition can get enough to claw back marginal seats and then be in a position to govern in their own right or have enough of the crossbench to get in their corner to then form minority government, that's a different story. Labor proved at the last election they can win government, majority government, with just over 32% of the primary vote. Now, they could do that again. So the coalition have to get Labor's primary vote down further, preferably into the high 20s if they can do it, and get their own up near the 40 mark, if not beyond, and then they're in with a shot. Thank you, though, for taking the time to write. Bernie says, I think Coles and Woolies should clearly identify all US-sourced goods on their shelves so consumers can decide whether to buy it or boycott it. Bernie, that's a bad idea. That's like the BDS movement. But Bernie, please. You don't punish American producers because you don't like Donald Trump. It's in the same way you shouldn't punish Israeli manufacturers because you don't like Benjamin Netanyahu. That's collectivism at its worst. And Bernie, the other fact of the matter is there wouldn't be that many American products on our shelves in the supermarket, I wouldn't think. If we're at it, why don't we label all the Chinese ones? I mean, in the scheme of things, America's not our biggest worry. 131873. Now, interesting story in the Oz Today by Stephen Lunn. Stephen writes some really good stuff. And it's got nothing to do with Trump, okay? So if you need a Trump fix, just walk away for 5 minutes. We can come back to it. But Stephen was writing about the households, and this might be you, that have the 20-somethings still living at home. I think you can add the 30-somethings, and increasingly it's the 40-somethings. And the reason is not so much that the kids want to be home, but that they just can't afford to get out or whatever. So as he says, it's 1 a.m. Here's a scenario, okay? You've probably been through this. It's 1 a.m., and despite your best efforts to get a good night's sleep, you need to drag yourself into the bathroom. But wait a minute. Is that your daughter's new boyfriend already hogging the upstairs loo? Welcome to Intergenerational Harmony 2025 style. He says the 20-something kids are not only still at home, their friends and partners are there too. On the couch just when you want to settle in for a couple of episodes of Slow Horses. Negotiating the fallout from shockingly high house prices, exorbitant rents, 5-year double degrees and crippling HECS debts means more and more families are coping with offspring at home way into their adult years. It's true. It's true. Now, whether they're coping or they're quite happy, okay, it depends on the family dynamic. But as he says, parents and quote-unquote kids are having to create new rules and habits for how to deal with their roles when the power dynamic has shifted just a little off kilter. All right, now, is this you? I want to know. 131873. Still got the 20 or 30-somethings at home? Are they bringing the better half or the worse half for sleepovers, as it were? They become a permanent fixture. You need the sort of a fifth chair around the dining table every night now. And I mean, what do you do with the food bill? How do you deal with the power bill, the water bill? There's another body using the hot water in the shower and, flushing the toilet 6 times a day and using the lights and the heating and the air conditioning, and then there's more food at the dinner. How do you cope? Have you got all the different rules? Do they pay part of the rent? How are you negotiating this? Because you go back 4 generations. I mean, this would be pretty rare, someone in 25, 26 still at home, unless they weren't married. But now it's probably 50-50. And even if they're engaged, they might be saving up for their property, and you say, all right, you can stay with us. And I'm not saying it's a burden, but things need to be renegotiated. And maybe this will be my fate, 20 years hence if Natalie's still with us and whatever. So anyway, Stephen's put together a bit of a cheat sheet here. He says, here are some of the things that parents and kids should know. 1, Mum and Dad don't want to be cleaning the kitchen after you've quote-unquote cleaned. In other words, do it right first time. He said, your room is not yours to pile up used teacups and crusty breakfast bowls and leave your untidy as you like, unless you're paying your per square metre share of the mortgage. Full-time working parents almost can be brought to tears of the joy by this text, don't worry, dinner sorted. Do that occasionally, he says. Bunging your clothes in the hamper isn't doing your laundry. Buying milk at the corner store isn't doing the grocery shopping. That one would resonate. The board you pay, if any, is not actually covering your costs. And your parents aren't too happy about running into random sleepovers in the bathroom in the middle of the night. But he says, parents, don't be too smug. Here are a few hard truths for you. Much as you may like it, your 20-something kids are unlikely to be living with you by choice. In most cases, if they could afford the housing, they'd be out the door in a flash, which is probably true. Anyway, the article goes on and on, but you might want to buy into that. That might resonate. That might be you. That might be your story. 131873.
2GB Sydney traffic. Try Flip Connect's 4-month NBN 25 trial for just $39 a month. Visit flipconnect.com.au. Conditions apply.
Hello, Michael. 2-car crash on Fairford Road, Padstow. 2 southbound lanes are closed near the M5. A crash on Cathedral Street, Woolloomooloo, near Palmer Street, and just near the BP at Milperra. There's a prang on Bullecourt Avenue, near Ashford Avenue. At Eastwood, near Brush Farm Park, a prang on Lawson Street, close to Brush Road, and the M4 at Clyde is hosting a truck breakdown actually. That's west after James Roos Drive. I'm Steve Carline with live and local traffic on Sydney's 2GB.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves, plus selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7th. Exclusions apply.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run-out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Optus mobile plans are now available at select Officeworks stores. Sign up to a new $49 SIM-only Optus plan for 24 months and get a $300 Officeworks gift card. Offer ends Thursday, April 10th. Cancellation fees and T's and C's apply.
If you have sleep apnea like I do and you're struggling with the cost of CPAP treatment, speak to Sauvé CPAP Clinic. They offer interest-free payment plans and the flexibility to choose from leading brands like ResMed, Philips and Fisher & Paykel. Only $1 up front and between $25 to $54 fortnightly for 3 years. That's less than $4 a day, T's and C's apply. Stop snoring with Sauvé. Visit Sauvé CPAP Clinic today at sauvé.com.au. That's SOVE or call 1300 76 29 39. CPAP is used for obstructive sleep apnea treatment. Always follow the directions for use. When considering whether CPAP is right for you, speak to your doctor. Payment plans are available for approved applicants only. Fees, terms, conditions, minimum amounts and exclusions apply.
Take the guesswork and effort out of doing the form this autumn carnival with Ladbroke's new AI-powered Form Genius. Ask it any question about a race for fast insights on every runner, jockey and trainer. T's and C's apply and available on website. You win some, you lose more.
Are you ready to vote? The federal election has been announced. If you've recently changed your name or address, turned 18 or become an Australian citizen, you must update your enrolment details or enrol to vote before 8 p.m. on Monday, 7th of April. Head to aec.gov.au or pick up an enrolment form at any AEC office and return it to the AEC before 8 p.m. on Monday, 7th of April. Your vote will help shape Australia. Authorised by the Electoral Commission of Canberra.
Machu Picchu and the Golden Empires of Peru, an exhibition thousands of years in the making. Witness artifacts of life, death, and rebirth. Ancient Peru, revealed as never before. Machu Picchu and the Golden Empires of Peru, only at the Australian Museum. Book your tickets today.
You're listening to Afternoons on Sydney's 2GB, thanks to Latrobe Financial, Australia's premier alternative asset manager.
All right, let's get to some calls. 131873 on this interesting Friday afternoon. Clouds rolling in from the west, just looking out there. I don't know if we're getting any rain, but the blue is vanishing from the sky. Hello, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. My son, he's 27 and still lives at home.
Yep.
Has a girlfriend. They alternate houses. Her house one night, our house the next. Doesn't pay board, rent, doesn't contribute to any of the bills. But that has made him be able to save up for a deposit for an investment property.
Yeah.
So if we didn't help him that way by letting him stay at home and we had him contribute to everything, he wouldn't be able to save the money for a rental property.
So I guess that's the calculation you and your husband have made and so, okay, might give us the dirts occasionally, but he'll never get out unless we sort of do it this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got to work what's best for you.
That's it. Well, it sounds like you've got the formula there, though, Julie, right?
I have. I just close his bedroom door because I don't want to look in there. Close the door. They've got their own bathroom because there's only my husband and myself and him and the girlfriend back and forth. So they've got their own bathroom, and I just close the bedroom door, and that's it.
Okay, good for you.
It's all good.
Well done. All right, power on, Julie. Well done. It sounds like you've got it sorted out. Keith, what's your story?
I've got two at home. One completely opposite to the other. My 25-year-old son with his girlfriend. I'll give you a good example. Valentine's Day, he cooked a beautiful meal for his girlfriend. He said, "Dad, take the American Express card and take Mum out for dinner. We don't want you here."
Oh, righto.
And then their 2-year anniversary, same thing. "Dad, take the card out. Take Mum out. Don't want you here."
Now, Keith, when you say take the card out, you mean take your card out or his?
His.
Oh, good. Okay, right.
Oh, no. I don't have a credit card.
Okay,
for
smart.
one reason. Don't like it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then,
the same.
Then I get told, "Oh, Dad, can you please leave the lounge and we need it?" Oh, fair dinkum. I can't even relax sometimes.
But do you acquiesce? Do you say, all right?
I let him go because he is saving. My little girl's the complete opposite.
She's already out of the house, is she, or what?
No, she's there. My oldest is out. But that's the funny thing about them. He's living at his mother-in-law's place.
Oh, he's sort of out. He's out yours and in hers. Oh, well, good grief. Well, look, I mean, on a serious note, though, I mean, it is tough for him because, but getting a foot in the ladder real estate-wise has never been harder.
It is. And we're helping him out in the near future with some land.
Okay, well, good for you. Well done, Keith. Mate, battle on. You're doing well. Try to claim the couch a bit more often, though, I think. Stand your ground on some things. Well done, 131873. Hello, Trent.
Yeah, g'day, mate. Yeah. On the tariffs, has the government looked at maybe making the 10% GST exempt and then basically one counteracts the other?
Making what GST exempt, sorry?
The beef to the US, which is current, I think he's put a tariff on it at 10%. So if the Australian government removed the GST component on it, then everyone's happy, aren't they?
I don't know if it attracts GST on the way out. I'm not sure, Trent. I understand what you're saying. If that's the 10% component and if we can obliterate it, well, then it's even Stevens. But some are saying to me that there isn't any GST applied or any tariff applied to the beef that does come in or go out anyway. I don't know. Let me look at that. Let me have a look at that and I'll see if I can get a definitive answer. I understand what you're saying. And if it were that simple, then maybe we should do it. I appreciate the call, Trent. 131873. We'll take a break. When we come back, Timothy Lynch.
Kia's most awarded SUV, the 7-seat Kia Sorento. Available in petrol, diesel, hybrid and plug-in hybrid powertrains. Fine-tuned for Australian roads and conditions for all 7 passengers. To find out more, visit kia.com.au or visit your nearest Kia dealer.
Kia, movement that inspires.
At Coles, do Easter the chocolatey way. With 40% off Cadbury Easter egg carton, 306 grams, now just $8. Save $5.50. Easter's delicious every way. With great value, hands down, at Coles. Offer ends 20 April.
Take the guesswork and effort out of doing the form this autumn carnival with Ladbroke's new AI-powered Form Genius. Ask it any question about a race for fast insights on every runner, jockey and trainer. T's and C's apply and available on website. You win some, you lose more.
G'day, Ray Hatley here for Bryden's Lawyers. Have you suffered an injury from a slip and a fall in a shopping centre, public place or private property? Bryden's Lawyers are here to protect your rights and recover the compensation you deserve. For a risk-free, no-obligation assessment of that claim, contact Bryden's Lawyers today on 1800 848 848 or go to the website brydens.com.au. Don't delay, strict time limits do apply. Bryden's Lawyers, who helps you in your time of need? We do.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run-out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
9 News is your news. Join the 9 News team for the stories that matter. Made in Sydney, for Sydney. For the full day's wrap-up, 9 News, nightly at 6.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves, plus selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7th. Exclusions apply.
This is the sound of bowel cancer, Australia's second biggest cancer killer, spreading. You can have bowel cancer without any symptoms. It's silent, but can be fatal. Luckily, doing a test from home is easy. If you're 45 to 49, order the free test online. If you're 50 to 74, it will come in the mail every 2 years. Visit dothetest.com.au. a New South Wales Government initiative.
Afternoons on 2GB. There's a happy place for everyone at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, April 11 to 22. Grab early bird tickets and save at eastershow.com.au.
Okay, good to be with you. It is 17 minutes to 1. Look, there's been so much focus on tariffs, mainly from an economic point of view, and the overwhelming consensus from the economists has been that this is a really, really bad idea. But from a cultural point of view, very few have bothered to do the hard work and try to work out how this fits in culturally to the MAGA movement in America. In other words, what's inspiring this? If it's not economics, what's driving this reflex to tariffs from Trump? Well, Timothy Lynch, who I have a great amount of respect for, writes brilliantly, does wonderful work at the University of Melbourne, was writing in the Australian overnight that yesterday Donald Trump was in his element. He said he rarely seemed happier, and there were unionists, auto workers, farmers, the builders, makers of things, applauding him. As Lynch went on to say, the defection of these men and women from the Democrats, who forgot how to speak to them, to Trump, who learned and completed the picture. He said, what we saw was an American politics realigned, a president imperious. Now, of course, all of that can turn on a dime, to use the American phrase, if these people's jobs start going and the stock market crashes and a depression or a recession kicks in, as some are predicting. But right here and in the right now, a lot of the traditional left-wing voters in America, the unionised workforces, are cheering Trump on. So what is going on? Well, I thought we'd bring Timothy Lynch in, and he's on the line with me from Melbourne. Great to speak with you, Timothy, again. Thank you for your time.
No problem, Michael. It's great to be here.
You're one of the rare few that have looked at this not economically but politically. How does the whole tariff movement fit into the broader MAGA cultural movement?
Well, I think it's a problem that the left have with Donald Trump is that they assume he represents simply an economic dislocation, and that all you have to do is redistribute wealth, and the Democrats will win back supporters that they've lost. And that forgets, I think, that Trump's appeal is not that poor people stand in his ranks. It's that middling group of people who aren't quite wealthy, who aren't quite poor. The poorest, of course, still vote Democrat. It's that group of people, the struggling middle, the battlers, we might say here, that feel not just that their jobs have gone and job security has gone, but that they've been relegated in the culture, that they have suffered a social setback of decades duration, and they've had no one on either side of politics prepared to speak for them. Trump came along and did speak for them. So his appeal is not to do essentially or fundamentally with economics, but with status. And he says, I will get your status back. I will wage a culture war on your behalf. And they are, we'll see if this happens, they are prepared to wear some economic turmoil in order to get back this cultural hegemony which they've lost over the last 30 years.
In your piece, you said economists are busily scorning the logic of Trump's reciprocal tariffs, but you say his command of the politics and culture of his trade war was the story here, sort of the long-term game rather than the short-term hit to the stocks or whatever. And you say, look, none of this should really come as much of a surprise. I know that the stock markets around the world are crunching this, but you say you go back to an interview he did. It was Playboy magazine. Of course, everyone read those for the articles. 1990, he was 43 at the time, and it wasn't the world, but it was Japan in the crosshairs then, in the Trump worldview. And everything he was speaking about then has, I guess, globally been fulfilled yesterday.
Yes, he's had one pristine line across his entire adult career, and that's that foreigners are screwing us. And until we recognise that, we'll continue to get screwed. If you interpose in the decade since, the 4 decades since he gave that interview, there's a good deal of prescience we've got on that we might credit to President Trump, that America has gone through a catastrophic war on terror, defeats in Iraq and Afghanistan, the 9/11 attacks itself, evidence that big government could not protect Americans at a very basic, ordinary level. And then, of course, the global financial crisis, again, where the banks and the capitalists were bailed out, not the ordinary Americans. And then the attendant deaths of despair, a fentanyl crisis, huge soaring suicide rates, and the defenestration of industrial America, that great heartland that gave America its identity after the Second World War. So you can see that his first and initial instinct that the world is made up of nefarious foreigners out to get us was given huge political power by the experience of the last 40 years, which have seen the failure of free trade and globalization. It's almost as if, I know we think Donald Trump came from nowhere. You could actually, I think, argue plausibly that you would design the Trump presidency if you didn't know it was going to come about based on the experience, the cultural dislocations of the last 40 years. Donald Trump was inevitable.
In other words, he's a product of his time. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we all are, aren't we? I mean, it's very hard for someone to defy their time. Both sides of the political spectrum forgot how to speak to this great heartland. And we can eulogize and romanticize this group of people, but they were fundamentally, as you've quoted there, the builders and makers of things who, after the Second World War, having liberated Europe from fascism, set about building the greatest economy in the history of the world. And somehow they got left by the wayside. As soon as the rest of the world caught up, often on the basis of American subvention and support, think of the European Union or Japan, within a generation, they were producing better motor cars than were being made in Detroit or Michigan. And you can see where that sense of we're owed something. We saved the world, and yet the world has come and has been rapacious in doing us down. No side, any of the post-Cold War presidents, none were able to quite articulate that discontent, and in fact compounded it through wars and great recessions. Donald Trump could, and that's his extraordinary political power.
I don't want to sort of add beyond where I think you want the scope of your analysis to go, but after World War II, I mean, the British were victorious at enormous cost.
Yeah.
But they also, one of the measures of cost was they lost their empire. So they won the war, but really Britain feel as though having won so many battles for freedom and democracy and everything around the world, in time they've lost the peace.
Yes, it's a great analogy. And like all analogies, it's imperfect as well as quite telling. Certainly, the obvious difference here, Michael, is that the scale of the American enterprise is just so much greater.
Yes.
And that the decline is going to be slower and in some ways more severe, but different to the one the British experienced. If you're in my area working in international relations and foreign policy, the basic question is the US in decline? And if you use the British example as a kind of template or model, there are some great warning signs there. The difference is America has, I mean, this is unusual in world history. Its competitors, particularly China, have a vested interest in the maintenance of American capitalism, in the maintenance of American success. All the toys that China produces in its factories have to be consumed by
peace.
Yes, it's a great analogy, and like all analogies, it's imperfect as well as quite telling. Certainly, the obvious difference here, Michael, is that the scale of the American enterprise is just so much greater.
Yes,
and that the decline is going to be slower and in some ways more severe, but different to the one the British experienced. If you're in my area working in international relations and foreign policy, the basic question is the US in decline? And if you use the British example as a kind of template or model, there are some great warning signs there. The difference is America has, I mean, this is unusual in world history. Its competitors, particularly China, have a vested interest in the maintenance of American capitalism, in the maintenance of American success. All the toys that China produces in its factories have to be consumed by rotund American children. That market-producer relationship makes both. There is an interdependence here, And I would argue, I think, again, a key difference between the British imperial decline and the American is that there remains a very powerful market for American power. But people don't want to be outside this imperium. They don't want liberation from it. They want it to do more. What terrifies Canberra, and certainly terrifies Europe, is the withdrawal of American power, economic and particularly military, from their theatres. It's not overextension of power. This is not an empire that threatens through use of force. It threatens through threatening to not use force and power. And that's an extraordinary thing to try and explain, and doesn't have an obvious comparison in world history.
True. Just before you go, I made comment earlier that perhaps one of the unexpected side effects of all this tariff stuff of late, but it compounds on some of the other decisions recently. They've been coming thick and fast, as you say, 100 executive orders in 40 days or something out of the White House, is that the conservative political campaigns and forces around the Western world, which looked set to topple a lot of existing left-wing governments, be it Canada, potentially Australia and elsewhere, now look as though they are going to lose because of the MAGA movement being in the ascendancy. There seems to be a sort of a flight back to incumbency in a lot of these Western jurisdictions that otherwise look set to go to the right. The tariff on beef, 10%, doesn't seem to be the real tariff. It's the Trump political tariff that is going to cost a lot of these people.
Yes, that's a fascinating political development, and not one I think that Trump is that worried about. But Canada is an instructive lesson here that 3 months ago, Canada was comfortably moving right after a decade of failed woke leftist policies. Yeah. And Trump has re-energized the left. Canadians are buying guns. They're becoming much more territorial. But I think that the real story here is how far we can expect only supplication from the rest of the world. The markets are pretty good at finding you out. I mean, I've mentioned Liz Truss on a couple of occasions. People may not remember her, the 45-day Prime Minister of the UK, who had, in relative terms, had an economic plan as radical as Donald Trump. And the markets found her out. She was basically fired because the global deep state, whatever your epithet is or label is, called a halt. Now, America and Trump's tariff war can go a lot longer because America is a quarter of GDP, but he will also come up against economic reality and the organisation of political power to match and to meet his economic war. And that's what I don't think he's thought through.
Time will tell. Fascinating insight, and congratulations on at least looking at it beyond the economics, because it is a layer of this cake that we do need to consume. Appreciate your time, and hopefully we can speak again soon, Timothy.
I look forward to it, Michael. Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Timothy Lynch, a Professor of Political Science at the University of Melbourne.
The federal election has been announced.
All Australian citizens 18 and over must be enrolled to vote.
Enrol or update your details by 8 p.m. Monday, 7 April at aec.gov.au.
Authorised by the Electoral Commission at Canberra.
At Borkham Hills, a car towing a horse float no longer is. It's actually conked out, sitting on the M2, aiming east near Cropley Drive, and the back of that queue is prior to Old Windsor Road. Main Street at Blacktown has flashing traffic lights at Blacktown Road, and emergency roadworks have closed the M4 off-ramp to Mulgoa Road. Around Drummoyne, seeing some Lyons Road congestion at the Victoria Road end. A bit of a stumble for Victoria Road in the same area. I'm Steve Carline on your traffic leader, Sydney's 2GB.
There are over 43,000 children and young Australians under 25 without a home. This is Natasha's experience.
So I went from couch surfing between family members' places to then friends' places. And then when I was 15, I was linked in with a counsellor at Headspace. And from 16, I moved into a crisis refuge.
2GB asks you to support Youth Homelessness Matters Day on April 16. Visit yhmd.org.au.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves, plus selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7. Exclusions apply.
What do free Medicare urgent care clinics, cheaper medicines, cheaper childcare, free TAFE, energy bill relief and tax cuts for every taxpayer all have in common? They've all been delivered by the Albanese Labor government to ease cost of living, and Labor will do more. More free Medicare urgent care clinics, more tax cuts, more energy bill relief, more bulk billing for all Australians, and 20% off HEX debt. Labor is building Australia's future.
Authorised P. Erickson, ALP Canberra.
Saturday Lotto is the game that makes the most millionaires. You could win a share in an estimated $5 million tomorrow. Grab an entry now. Wouldn't it be nice?
Parramatta Isuzu Ute. The sales event is on now. With increased stock arriving, the mighty Isuzu D-Max and MUX are available right now for immediate delivery. DL 14862, 603 Church Street, North Parramatta.
Here's Andre Rieu, the king of the waltz, with a special message.
Hello, my dear friends. I'm so pleased to invite you to my 75th birthday celebration only in cinemas. It was always my dream to form my very own orchestra. I've handpicked some of my favorite performances from our global tours. So come and join the party.
With performances never before seen on the big screen, the dream continues. April 12 and 13. Book now. AndreInCinemas.com.
Where luxury finds a home. Bigger, bolder and more beautiful than ever, Domain Prestige is now available in The Age and the Australian Financial Review every Wednesday. Grab your weekly copy and discover Domain Prestige today.
Warning, this message contains some heavy stuff. Bulk garden soil, sand, blocks and pavers, pebbles, top dressing, compost, mulch. In fact, all the heavy bulk stuff for any gardening project. At Flower Power, we've got it all. And we'll deliver it, including in bulker bags, 7 days a week, whether you shop in-store or online. We've got plants too, of course. So whatever your gardening project is, talk to Flower Power. We'll make your heavy work light. Flower Power, the garden people.
2GB afternoons. You can experience the ultimate waterfront lifestyle at Woolaware Shores by Anglicare in
court this morning, the 25-year-old guilty of using her job as a customer concierge at Service New South Wales.
a smart move. Download the app now.
Boyfriend Salim Merheb via Snapchat between July and October 2021. Merheb then used that information to falsely claim up to $61,000 worth of COVID and flood disaster relief government payments. Merheb was previously sentenced to 3.5 years behind bars. Today, Saab avoided jail time, instead issued a 2-year intensive corrections order. At Parramatta District Court, Erin Ramsey, 9 News.
Tens of thousands of Australians have been affected by a coordinated cyber attack on several industry super funds. Australian Retirement Trust, Australian Super, Hostplus, Rest and Expand have been targeted by hackers. Australian Super's confirmed at least 4 of its customers' accounts have had money withdrawn illegally. Tony Mockbell is preparing to be released from custody after 18 years behind bars. The Victorian Court of Appeal has granted bail while he fights to have his convictions quashed because his barrister, Nicola Gobbo, was a police informant. His sister has put up $1 million surety for a second time. Lawyer Justin Quill says in 2006 it was lost when Mockbell infamously fled to Greece.
The reason you do it is because the person getting bail is more likely to feel some sort of obligation to stay here because of their sister or their mother or their friend or whoever, and you're putting them in danger.
A large portion of parents report they're concerned junk food advertising is influencing their child's diet. Sasha Foote reports.
Researchers at Deakin University surveyed almost 4,000 adults on the marketing of unhealthy food and beverages to children. The study found 85% of parents believe children are being targeted by junk food companies throughout their daily lives. Professor Catherine Backholer says the next federal government needs to take meaningful action on obesity prevention.
Parents have had enough and don't want to see that anymore.
Obesity is now the nation's main cause of preventable death and disease, overtaking tobacco. Sasha Foote, 9 News.
A ute belonging to a woman missing in regional Queensland's been found about 60 kilometres from her hometown. The whereabouts of the 29-year-old mother of 3 is still not known. And there's been a 3.7 magnitude earthquake in Albury. It hit about half an hour ago. In finance, the All Ords is trading down 144 points at 79.08. One Australian dollar is buying 63.12 US cents.
Listen live. Catch up, grab the highlights, enter to win. No matter where you are, you can do it all with the 2GB app.
Good afternoon. South's coach Wayne Bennett is calling for an overhaul of the rules surrounding high tackles ahead of tonight's battle with the Roosters. Bennett wants the NRL to formalise an experimental rule that was used in the pre-season where defenders are sin-binned if a player is ruled out with concussion. He's concerned that match officials are being left to determine the level of force in a tackle.
The referee is not qualified to determine how much force is used in that tackle. Okay, none of us are, except the doctors, and that's what they do. You go get examined by the doctor. If you can't continue in the game, then the player should get 10 minutes in the sin bin. It's pretty simple, but it'll have a lot more fairness to it than we've got right now.
Raiders pair Sebastian Chris and Hudson Young and Shark Billy Burns have all been charged for careless high tackles during Canberra's win, but have escaped suspension. And Tegan Micah is expected to start for the Matildas against South Korea tonight, with Mackenzie Arnold ruled out injured. That's sport. I'm Adam Hawes.
It's 1:04. That's the latest news and sport.
G'day, it's MG here, and it's great to be on 2GB. I'm on your radio straight after 5:30 news each weekday with Clinton Maynard, so let's talk this afternoon.
The best family fun this Easter. The Ingenia Holiday Park Sydney Family Show Moore Park starts April 12th. Come and have an epic day of fun with your family. Enjoy carnival rides, sideshow games, show bags, farmyard nursery, carnival food and markets. Come and enjoy Paw Patrol, Bluey Live interactive experience, bike stunt show, reptile show, Easter basket zone, exciting stage shows and lots more. The Ingenia Holiday Park Sydney Family Show, April 12th to April 27th at Entertainment Quarter Moore Park with 2-hour free parking. Visit sydneyfamilyshow.com.au.
Traffic. Got something you want to say? You're in the right place. This is Sydney's 2GB. Send us a text or call 131 873.
Good and bad news with Borkham Hills. We've got a 5-kilometre traffic jam pointing east. The good news, that was the bad news. The good news is the horse float that had broken down and all that drama, that's gone. They've just cleared that one out near Cropley Drive. At Pennant Hills, there's a gas leak on Pennant Hills Road. A northbound lane is closed there near Boundary Road. King Street, Newtown's not great, and there's a fair bit of pressure applied to Centenary Drive getting through Strathfield and Richmond Road, slowing north of the M7 to Marsden Park.
Did you know that respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is not just a childhood illness? Adults can catch it too throughout their lives. Similar to other respiratory infections, a cough or sneeze can easily spread RSV. Though often mild, RSV infection can be serious. Older adults may experience severe complications compared with younger adults. For more information about RSV, talk to your healthcare professional. Sponsored by GlaxoSmithKline Australia Proprietary Limited, Melbourne.
A help company would offer forgot to lock up cover because leaving a window or door open can happen to any of us on a busy Tuesday morning. So that's what we're doing. Visit us in branch or search forgot to lock up cover from NRMA Insurance, a help company. Home building, home contents and combined home building and contents policies only. Policy limits, conditions and exclusions apply. Always read the PDS and TMDs from NRMA Insurance at nrma.com.au.
2GB weather. Rain, hail or shine, we'll be here to help when unexpected weather comes your way. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
Sunny, there's the slight chance of a shower about this afternoon. Light winds. Sunny tomorrow, 16 to 25 on the coast, 12 to 26 in the west. Further ahead, sunny for Sunday, mostly sunny Monday, a shower or two Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now in the city, 25 degrees, humidity 62%, wind south-east at 11 kilometres an hour. Bankstown, Campbelltown, 24 degrees. Lucas Heights and Terry Hills, 23. I'm Erin Marr. There'll be more news at 1:30 on your news leader, Sydney's 2GB.
Now on 2GB and network stations. Back to afternoons with Michael McLaren.
All right, let's get into the second hour. 131873, the open line numbers. Sun's starting to poke its little head through out there in the west, looking nice again. We reported earlier by Mark on the morning's program, multiple large superannuation funds have been hit by a coordinated cyber attack. It's led to members losing money, we believe, and the Herald reporting their accounts have been accessed by a criminal enterprise. Now, industry super funds like Australian Retirement Trust, Australian Super, Host Plus, Rest, and the largest retail superannuation brand owner, Insignia, have all been subject to the attack. The scale of it, the scope is yet to be fully understood. However, listeners have told me off air that Australian Super's hotline doesn't seem to be working effectively. So some people have heard this and they've got, their super with Australian Super or whatever, and they've tried to phone up and say, well, look, am I included? What's happening? They can't get through or it's not working. So, look, I don't know. We've put a call into Australian Super and they're getting back to us. They're investigating whether it's simply an avalanche of demand or whether there is something wrong with the communication system. We'll find out for you if we can. But as the Herald reports, the hackers were able to access super fund passwords, most likely on the dark web. The funds have all been working with the National Cybersecurity Coordinator to assess the depth and the breadth of the problem. That is still taking place, I believe. There are fears that more customers of those funds and maybe even some other funds have been affected by this hack. The attacks mostly took place in the early hours of the morning, so that customers didn't see the password change alerts on their phone. It seems a lot of the people affected, those targeted, are those in pension drawdown phase. They can basically request lump sum withdrawals and this sort of thing. So they seem to have been specified here. The National Cyber Security Coordinator confirmed the attack after being contacted by the Herald this morning, saying that she was aware that cyber criminals are targeting individual account holders of a number of superannuation funds. So, look, I mean, digitisation has brought great benefits and productivity and the rest of it, but it does also bring with it its own concerns and potential problems. And as we go cashless, as we go paperless, as we go almost humanless in many respects, we do open ourselves up more and more to broad-scale hacks, losses, and inconveniences. And once upon a time, if you wanted to steal something, you sort of had to go mano up to the person and rob them, or go into the bank with the gun and hold it up. These days, you go online, you can hold up the equivalent of 1,000 branches with the click of a mouse. Same with identity theft and all the rest. Once upon a time, you had to go into some legal office or something and break open the safe or the file of fax or whatever it was and pull out the physical piece of paper. Now you do it online and you can do 100,000 people in 1 minute. With benefits come potential detriments. I guess it's going to be the way of the future, isn't it? 131873. Well, 1:10. I was about to get a very large birthday cake ready today. Not for myself, but for my next guest. And I was going to send the team down to Woolies and say, right, clean them out of candles. I need 60. Because a great Australian's about to turn 60. We then informed said great Australian that we would like to speak to him, and he was more than obliging because he's a gentleman and a very nice man and often says yes. And we said, and this is why. And he said, oh, look, I just want to point out one thing. I said, oh, what's that? You don't want any fasts? He said, no, I'm only turning 59. Okay. But hey, we should still talk anyway because 59's a milestone in many respects. The great Peter Overton is on the line. Hello, Peter.
G'day, Michael. Yes, but 2GB's always had me a year in front of my actual real birthday.
Now, hang on. Can we just clear this up? Because, you've been in the media longer than me. It is true. There are a lot of people in the media that lie about their age and they pretend they're not quite as old as they are. Are you one of those, or is this legit? You are only 59 tomorrow.
I can absolutely assure you I was born on the 5th of April 1966 in Winchester in the UK, and I turn 59 tomorrow. And I'm happy to tell you I turn 60 next year.
All right, well, we'll have the same conversation next year, plus one candle. Look, firstly, congratulations on tomorrow. You'll be surrounded by family, and I think one of the things that people know you always say to me is that you're surrounded by an extraordinary family. That's testament to you and to your wife and of course, to your parents and everybody else.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, well, I've been brought up by two magnificent parents. Mum and Dad are 87 now, both of them, and they are the absolute light of our life, our North Star. I'm the eldest of four kids, and they are magnificent in their values and the way they've brought us up. And Dad was Professor of Paediatric Anaesthesia at the Children's Hospital at the way they've brought us up, and Dad was Professor of Paediatric Anaesthesia at the Children's Hospital at Camperdown, then out at Westmead for 40 years. And, he taught us great qualities about caring for other people and how to deal with other people, and certainly an enormous role model for all four Overton children. And Mum, Dad worked long hours, and Mum certainly ran the household so well too. So I hope they're listening, and they're great. And then, I'm married to Jessica, of course, for When did we get married? I think it was 2004.
Don't get that one wrong, Peter. Jeez.
But you know what I do, Michael? I've got, in my study, I have a framed front page. But you know what I do, Michael? I've got, in my study, I have a framed front page of the Daily Telegraph from the day after our wedding with this magnificent photo of Jessica and a photo of me fist pumping. And I always check the date every year on that front page to make sure I've got the anniversary correct.
That's a very, very good thing to have in the office. Hey, what's just for people? See, people know you through the television, and they feel like they know you, even if they haven't met you. It's just one of those sort of an average day in the life of Peter Overton.
Well, I'm up and at 'em by 5:30. I'm on the Today Show. I've got the radio going. I've got Ben going in the kitchen as I get breakfast ready for the kids and coffee for Jessica and myself. I'm across the papers. Usually I'm actually reading the papers at 3 in the morning. I have a quick scan of what's going on, and I used to listen to you overnight, of course, when you're on that very tough shift. And then I'm usually at work 10:30, 11, or I'm doing work for Channel 9 outside, doing marketing or publicity or whatever. And then I sit on the big desk, as they say. We've got about 20 people around the big production desk, and I'm part of the team. And
I'm wrong, Peter. Jeez.
Doing radio promos for 2GB, doing news breaks, doing all sorts of things, and until we're on air at 6 o'clock. So it's a busy day, full day. And I've been at 9 for 35 years. Desk, and I'm part of the team, and up and down all afternoon doing radio promos for 2GB, doing news breaks, doing all sorts of things, and until we're on air at 6 o'clock. So it's a busy day, full day, and I've been at 9 for 35 years, and every day I love going to very, very better people I work with. I love my mentoring role. I love learning. Dad's instilled in me, and I've seen from people. So that's why those mentors, they help me with my tech.
Yeah, that's a good point. The mentoring role.
And to this day, even though they've passed, it's so important. I rely on them as touchstones when I need.
Calls for Peter Overton going through. You're speaking about the big desk and Brian Henderson, of course. The thing with Brian Henderson, which as a young man watching the
experience, so 40 years ago at 2UE, which was the 2GB of its time, the powerhouse station, Breno, and I owe so much to him. And he and I were, I'd have a cup of tea with him right up until he passed away, and was honoured to be a pallbearer at his funeral. Graham McNeice, the late Graham McNeice, gave me my first job in television after 2UE, and someone who, his godfather to our eldest daughter, and delivered a eulogy at Graham's funeral not that long ago. And another mentor, Brian Henderson, someone I kept in contact and had cups of tea with him until his passing, and delivered a eulogy at his funeral as well. People that are so important in my life, that have guided me and have been always there to be an ear, if you like, when I'd sought advice or they wanted to give me advice. And I think what I learnt, the importance of sticking with those people and keeping those friendships going long after their retirement, as I watch my father, who, as I said, is now 87, and the young doctors that he has brought through are still in contact with Dad, and I know what that means to him. And Dad was one of 3 doctors that introduced the paramedic service in New South Wales. And paramedics to this day will stop and say, "G'day, Pete, how are you? Please send my very, very best to your father. He was a legend." And I think that's values that Dad's instilled in me and I've seen from people. So that's why those mentors were absolutely so important in my life. And to this day, even though they've passed, are so important. I rely on them as touchstones when I need to just think about what they would have said.
You're speaking about the big desk and Brian Henderson, of course. The thing with Brian Henderson, which as a young man watching the news, because we always watch 9 at home, Hendo told us so, right? Brian told us so. The thing was that it didn't matter what he said, you believed him. Now, I don't know how that magic happened. But, you could have had a thunderstorm outside and Hendo would be reading 6 o'clock news and say, you know what, it's 22 degrees and sunny. You'd believe him instead of what you're right. Yeah, I mean, it was just true, right? He had this inherent ability to tell you something down the lens of the camera and to have that then beamed into a lounge room and it to be true, to be fact, unquestionable. You've got that as well. How do you do it? Because that's the art form of the newsread. Is there a trick to the trade?
No, I don't think there is a trick to the trade. I think it's just being true to who you are. And if I met you in the pub, the Savo, I'm the same bloke that you'd meet on the telly coming into your lounge room. That's the way I think about it very much. But I think the key is in news and in being a news presenter, it's longevity in the job. It's building up the experience and it's building up the trust. And I think you build a relationship with your audience. And I've been in the news chair now. This is my 17th year, and we've been number 1 for the last 14 years in Sydney, and that was based around, I think, just longevity, Michael. And I watched Hendo growing up like you did, and I can still remember sitting around the table at home and watching him at 6 o'clock. And then I remember the first day I met him at Channel 9 on the 1st of September 1991 when I walked in the door and I said, "Hello, Mr. Henderson, I'm Peter." And he said, "I know who you are, and you can call me Brian." And I thought, this is fascinating. This is weird. I've watched him on the telly for so long, and now I'm talking to him. And then I got to sit next to him once a week when I read the sports segment when the wonderful Ken Sutcliffe had his day off. So, yes, I think it's longevity. I think it's trust with your audience, experience, and being true to who you are. And I think the audience knows if they can pick someone who is an imposter, if you like, and
yes, that's the point,
who
isn't it?
You are.
You got to be yourself. You got to be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
All the stories over the years, my goodness, there'd be 100,000 of them and counting. But what are the few that have really stuck with you?
Well, in the decade or so I had at 60 Minutes, travelling the world, I think the stories that I'm often asked this question, and the late Chris O'Brien, Professor Chris O'Brien, the head and neck surgeon who had the brain tumour, his impact on our community, and I did his story from his diagnosis to his death. The mental health stories I did at 60 Minutes, Jessica, my wife, has had a huge role in trying to destigmatise mental illness, and I certainly learned a lot about that when I met Jessica all those years ago. And so my late executive producer there, John Westacott, used to allow me to do a story on mental health most years, and we do youth suicide. Or I interviewed Jessica and her mother about bipolar disorder, which her mum has, and so on. So those were stories that I know that had an impact, because I'd be anywhere in the world and an Australian would come up to me and say, in an airport, whether at Heathrow or France, wherever, and say, "Peter, thanks for doing that story on youth suicide or on bipolar, because that's my mother, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my grandfather, my aunt," and that I knew that had an effect. And another important story I think I did at 60 certainly was youth cancer. And we travelled the world and looked at how they cared for young people with cancer. I'm not talking children and I'm not talking adults. I'm talking that sort of 15 to 24 age group, which is called the Forgotten Generation. And that story prompted the Sony Foundation to establish You Can, where we've built youth cancer centres around Australia, which now care for that forgotten generation. And I'm an ambassador for them very proudly. So that's another story that had an impact. I think in my back in the newsroom, the stories that I'll never forget are COVID, reporting COVID for all that time, and the thirst for information and the importance of being an information provider in our nightly news, and always offering a little bit of hope every night as well, because I thought that was really important. So that was a bit of a mantra we had in the newsroom. So that's a selection of stories that I think that have had an impact on me.
Yeah, certainly not an exhaustive list, I know. Before you go, I spoke earlier about Trump, because, I mean, how can you escape him in the newsroom? But I made the comment, and you might have an answer, because I couldn't think of an example of someone in the history of modern media that has been able to dominate as many headlines day after day, night after night, without a break as Donald J. Trump. I mean, can you think of someone who's been more omnipresent, more of a sort of a black hole, as it were, just sucking everybody into his orbit than Donald Trump?
I can't think of anyone. I can't. I'm like you. I think every night, we will often base one of our Los Angeles-based reporters, we'll send them to the East Coast, because it is such... Trump is a story that gives you every day, and it's not just for your 6 o'clock news, it's for Today's Show, it's for your morning news, it's for your afternoon news, it's for your 6 o'clock news. So I think you're right. I can't think of anyone in the modern era that has dominated the headlines, the news cycle as President Trump.
Well, Peter, on behalf of all of us, happy birthday for tomorrow. I hope they only put 59 candles on the cake and they're not reading Jock's Journal. And I hope the breakfast coffee's just that extra bit special for you, surrounded by your loved ones. You deserve it. And on behalf of all of us, thank you for what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. I've really enjoyed the chat, and thank you for ringing. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Ditto. Thank you. The wonderful Peter Overton, who I stress only turns 59 tomorrow.
Menopause changes everything. It's time to take Harmony. Harmony Menopause Max supports you through with Chaste Tree, traditionally used in Chinese medicine to help relieve menopause symptoms. Sleepless nights, hot flushes, mood swings, fatigue. Menopause is more than just one symptom. It can affect every part of your life, but it shouldn't hold you back. Take a positive step. Take Harmony, Australia's #1 menopause brand in pharmacy. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. IQVIA unit sales MAT to 31/12/2024.
At Bunnings, you can freshen up your deck with Cabot's 1 litre everyday deck wash, only $15. Where you find a competitive lower price on the same stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%. Conditions apply. See website for details.
Bunnings Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Liquorland is giving away $5,000 a day until Easter Sunday. Simply scan your flybys with any liquor purchase from Liquorland for your chance to win a $5,000 Coles gift card every day. Plus, when you shop participating brands like Jamieson and Jacobs Creek, you'll receive a bonus entry into our daily draw to win a $5,000 Coles gift card. Cheers! Head in store or shop online today for your chance to win. Cheers! Liquorland. T's and C's apply. Ends 20th of April. Choose to drink wise.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
Cromwell Funds Management's award-winning team has a proven record of managing unlisted direct property funds and syndicates. We're committed to building investor wealth through the careful selection, acquisition and management of real income-producing commercial properties. So invest in real expertise with Cromwell Funds Management. Visit realexpertise.com.au.
This is general advice and does not take into account any investor's objectives, financial situation or needs. Please consider the relevant funds PDS and TMD and seek specific advice before making any investment. AFSL 333214.
Seize the moment in the Audi Q5 Sportback 45 TFSI Quattro S-Line with metallic paint and black exterior styling package at $92,990 drive away. Ends May 31. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Attention comfort seekers, now's your chance to save big with the first ever Lazy Boy flash sale. Save 30 to 50% off all Lazy Boy furniture for 4 days only. That's all world-class recliners, stylish sofas and modulars, innovative lift chairs and much, much more. Hurry, this offer is for a limited time only. Sale must end Sunday. Shop 30 to 50% off all Lazy Boy furniture today at your nearest participating Lazy Boy stockist or browse online at la-z-boy.com. lazyboy.com.au. Lazy Boy, long live the lazy.
Afternoons on 2GB. There's a happy place for everyone at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, April 11 to 22. Grab early bird tickets and save at eastershow.com.au.
Great to be with you. It's 26 past 1.
2GB Sounds of the Show.
Okay, now, as you know, we're giving you the chance to win 4 tickets to the Sydney Royal Easter Show with 2GB's Sounds of the Show. People just love this, I know. Later in the program, listen out for this sound. Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed. So listen out for the horse later in the program. Shall we hear that again, Francis? I think. Let's have it again. Come on. There it is. Number 3 at the 5th at Randwick. And when you hear that later in the show, I want you to be caller number 10 today, the 10th caller on the prize line, 1300 722 873. And lucky number 10, you'll be off to the Sydney Royal Easter Show with yourself and 3 other tickets in your pocket, okay? So wait to hear the horses later in the program. There could be at any point between now and 3 o'clock. And when you hear them, straight to that prize line, 1300 722 873, caller 10, and the prize will be yours. Stacks of text coming through. A lot of people simply wishing Peter Overton a happy birthday, and thank you for those. Pass them on to Pete. We were speaking earlier about the 20-somethings living at home. Rick says, until last year, we had Mr. 29, Miss 25 and Mr. 21 all under our roof, and most nights they're partners. We don't charge them. He said last year Mr. 29 bought a home with his partner. Miss 25 has a deposit now for a home, is actively house hunting. All of that would not be possible if we charged them the rent. Yeah, it's true. That's true. It's just the way of the world now, isn't it? Draz was saying, look, all this stuff about the kids living at home, he says, well, that's normal if you, well, I quote him here, he says, it's normal arrangement for a WOG family, so nothing changes for us. That's from Draz. That's probably true as well. And you probably got grandma there as well. Xavier says, I'm on social media and I'm 22. He said, most of those my age, from the comments I see anyway, are supporting Albanese and overwhelmingly. Now, that's following a text I had earlier from someone who said, look, I've been asking people, and I was at the hospital the other day and people were talking. No one was saying they'd be voting for Albo. And so Xavier says, okay, well, that might be right. But in my age group, my category, look at the comments on social media, on the news posts, and this is where people get their news at that generation. He said, overwhelmingly, they're supporting Albo. So we could be seeing a bit of a generational divide coming through in the election result in the weeks ahead. Just speaking of the Prime Minister, and I made comment the other day in an editorial about the business lobby, saying that their words to the effect they've been about as powerful and potent as a eunuch at this campaign when it comes to prosecuting the case for themselves and for the coalition, which is their political ally. You know, years gone by, the business community and the mining and all the other big commercial-oriented lobbies, you know, the anti-unionist lobbies, basically, they would tip in some pretty good coin. They would run campaigns encouraging people to vote for the coalition, and that would supplement the coalition's own advertising spend to try to get the message across. Well, look, I don't watch every minute of every day of the news, but I haven't seen too much advertising thus far from the Business Council or the ACCI or the mining lobby or anybody saying Guzman, who writes for The Fin, always on union-related matters, says, and this was just yesterday, the Albanese government's call for an above-inflation increase to the minimum wage for 3 million workers has emboldened unions to apply for a 4.5% rise, almost double the rate of inflation, and despite flatlining productivity. So the unions and their political wing, the Labor Party, want above-inflation pay rises to come via the Fair Work Commission's annual wage review. Now, the business community don't want it. I think they want 2.4% or 2.5%. The unions want 4.5%. If the coalition win, they will not be putting in a submission to the Fair Work Commission saying make it 4.5%. They'll be much closer to the 2 in a bit. But are the business community helping the coalition get over the line? Or are they running dead, like they've run dead the last 3 years? Getting more into bed with the culture wars of the left than the economic...
Waiting for an explanation from the Sporting Code on how 2 men were allegedly able to get into the MCG carrying guns. Environmental measures like return and earn schemes are helping reduce the amount of plastic ending up in our waterways, with a 39% increase over the past decade, decrease in waste over the past decade. And South Korea's Constitutional Court has removed impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office. In sport, a fencer has been disqualified from a women's competition in the US after refusing to compete against a transgender opponent. Stephanie Turner took a knee in protest before her bout. She was shown a black card and informed she would not be allowed to continue in the tournament. And there'll be more news at 2 o'clock.
On afternoons, a weather update.
We'll be here to help in unexpected weather. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
Okay, well, the Bureau says a possible shower today, and looking out to the west, I can see why. If it does come, it'll be 1 mil of rain. 26 in the city, 27 for Penrith. It should be dry, though, in the west, so if the rain comes, it'll be close to the coast. Bondi might get a little, top at 24. Parramatta today, 25. Now, sunny tomorrow, and 25, which is pretty much as good as it gets. And then on Sunday, if you like it a little warmer, okay, 27 and sunny for you. Canberra today, partly cloudy and 23, sunny and 23 tomorrow, sunny but just 21 on Sunday in the capital. And for Lithgow, sunny and 22 today, 26 for Mudgee, Bathurst 24, Orange 21. How nice is Orange? Such a nice town. 25 at Springwood, a little cloud, but mainly sunny. And Katoomba, sunny and 21. Sunny tomorrow for Lithgow and 20, and the sun will keep shining on Sunday. Lithgow, that is, 20 degrees the top. 131873. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Real Estate Show.
Sydney traffic. Keep the conversation flowing. Call 131 873 or send us a text 0460 873 873.
Great Western Highway at Warramoo has an east-facing breakdown. At Pennant Hills, a gas leak on Pennant Hills Road has closed a northbound lane near Boundary Road. It's been there for 2 days. At Mulgoa, M4 off-ramp to Mulgoa Road is closed westbound because of emergency road work. We've got traffic lights blacked out at Maroubra, intersection of Anzac Parade at Beecham Road, and at Blacktown, lights just flashing, Main Street at Blacktown Road, and James Drew Strike gets off to a slow start north through Rose Hill. I'm Steve Carline.
Working hey there, Sydney. Catch me, Trisha Belluccio's Dolly, and an all-star cast in Here You Come Again at the Theatre Royal this September. Get your tickets at theatreroyalsydney.com. Here I go.
Well, I understand Jane Fonda is coming to Sydney, proudly presented by Wanderlust True North. This will be an unforgettable evening with the legendary actress, activist and wellness icon live on stage this June. At 87, Jane Fonda is the definition of vitality, purpose and authenticity. In an exclusive conversation with esteemed journalist Liz Hayes, she'll share the defining moments, lessons and passions that have shaped her extraordinary life, and it has been extraordinary. From Hollywood stardom to revolutionising fitness and leading fearless activism, Jane Fonda continues to inspire generations. This will be an evening of authentic conversations, some powerful stories and actionable wisdom. Don't miss Jane Fonda live at the Wanderlust True North in Sydney, June 15. Tickets start at $79. They're on sale now at Ticketek.
Saturday Lotto is the game that makes the most millionaires. You could win a share in an estimated $5 million tomorrow. Grab an entry now. Wouldn't it be nice?
Looking for the best brands at the best prices? You've come to the right place. Shop now and save! Get Frequent Flyer Immunity Boost Orange or Raspberry 15 effervescent tablets only $8.99. Or get Novatears preservative-free lubricating eye drops just $26.99. Find an appetite for Sustagen Hospital Formula Plus Fibre Chocolate or Vanilla 840 gram only $28.99. And upgrade your oral hygiene to the Oral-B Power IO2 Series electric toothbrush. It's $79.99. Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day.
Get the new
Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra
at Telstra.
with the latest Galaxy AI.
Create,
have fun,
and feel smarter together.
with Australia's best mobile network.
That's the sound of asbestos damage to your lungs. 1 in 3 Australian homes contain asbestos. If it's built before 1990, get a licensed asbestos professional. Search Asbestos New South Wales, a New South Wales government initiative.
Hi, I'm Todd Woodbridge, and I want you to think about the equity in your home as a key, one that can unlock life's possibilities. If you're over 55, Inviva's Home Equity Release Loan makes it simple to access your equity so you can fund big life moments, support your family, or simply enjoy more financial freedom. With Inviva, your future is closer than you think. Get a free property value estimate today at inviva.com.au. That's INVIVA. Terms and conditions, fees and charges and eligibility criteria apply.
The King Living sale is on now. Save up to 50% on selected Australian design award-winning furniture. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale on now. Shop online or visit a King Living showroom today.
You're listening to Afternoons on Sydney's 2GB, thanks to Latrobe Financial, Australia's premier alternative asset manager.
And now, The Real Estate Show, thanks to Domain, Australia's trusted property marketplace.
Okay, here we go. It is a Friday afternoon. Let's look at real estate. And, of course, we do that with the wonderful Alice Stoltz from Domain. Each week we take a look at, of course, among the whole situation with auctions and some tips and traps and the rest of it. We also look at some of your properties in and around Sydney. We go over the weekend auctions, as I said. We cover all the big real estate news. And if you want a property valued, just get in touch. And we'll give the details over to Domain. They'll crunch the numbers with their supercomputers behind the scenes, and we'll get you on when we can fit you on a Friday, and we'll talk about your property. Give you the range that it may well be worth. Now, just in regard to that, these figures are estimates only, of course, and we've got to emphasise that the estimates are made without any first-hand inspections of the properties or their interiors. If anyone listening wants an appraisal of their home, they should, of course, make their own independent inquiries through accredited independent valuers. 131873. Alice Stoltz, as I said, the National Property Editor at Domain, with us. Hello, Alice.
Hello, Michael. Great to be here.
And with you too. We've got an election, and so as you suggested last week, that does mean that a bit of the heat can come out of the market, right?
That's right, indeed. But look, listing volumes are still actually quite good at the moment, and I think this weekend and next weekend is kind of going to be the last hurrah before that sort of lovely sort of early autumn hiatus is going to set in, school holidays, and people will sort of think about doing other things for a little while. But look, this weekend in Sydney, we've got 940 auctions taking place. So still quite good numbers as we head into that next sort of wave of school holidays.
Yeah, okay. So what was it over the week? 1,400 or so auctions, I think, Sydney?
I'm very impressed with your memory there, Michael. It was indeed. It was, the clearance rate came in at 65%. Okay. Now, that's a very solid result still. And I'm reading some things that people are saying that it is softening a little bit, but under that many auctions, I still think it's still quite encouraging. And it'll be interesting this weekend after the RBA held rates, but I think we'll still feel a bit of the buoyancy in the market from the interest rate cut last month. We'll still manage to kind of make people feel quite good when it comes to bidding.
All right, now let's catch up with one of our listeners at Brady Place, Harrington Park. Dom's on the line. G'day there, Dom.
G'day, Michael and Alice.
Hello, Dom.
Now, Harrington Park, we're heading down toward Narellan, Gregory Hills, that part of southwest Sydney. Tell us a bit about the property, Dom.
So it's almost 1,200 squares, 1169 square metre block. It's a single-storey split level with 4 bedrooms, a walk-in robe, main walk-in robe the size of a bedroom, thanks to my wife.
Wow.
I've got side access. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I've got a nature reserve behind me with a gate where I can go for nature walks. And yeah, at least fit 6 cars on the driveway to park.
Well, it sounds lovely, wow. Dom. What's the age of the house, Dom? Is it an old house or was it built fairly recently?
About 10 years old.
Okay. And have you done much works to it other than making that walk-in robe for your wife, which sounds like you were very, very generous in the size of that one?
No, basically just the side access concrete all the way around, so about 3 metres and then 4.5 metres at the back. And I do have an alfresco with a homemade pizza oven that me and my father made.
Oh. God, well, it sounds like you're sitting on a lovely little house there, Dom, I've got to say. You know what's really interesting here? I was looking at the house price data in Harrington Park, and there isn't that much data available. So we can still have a generalist figure, but what that does tell me also is that it's quite a tightly held area, which obviously is a good thing to know if you're thinking about selling, understanding that there might not be that much supply on the market there. So that was just an interesting insight, I thought, Dom. But look, price-wise, we're looking at around, I think, 1.35 at the lower end. That goes all the way up to about 1.77 in terms of the value of that property. And that's based on the land size and what sounds like a fairly sizable house. So if you wanted to sort of put that in the middle, I reckon we're looking at about 1.56 million. And I also found a house nearby on Chakra Drive. I don't know if that's near you, Dom, but that recently sold. That's 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 car, a lot less car spots than you, clearly. And that one sold just in March for 1.25 million. So that's kind of at the lower end of that price range that I just mentioned to you there. So I think that's kind of a good ballpark for you to bear in mind for the moment.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it, you looking into it, and thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and enjoy that lovely house, Dom.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Thank you, Dominic. That's pretty good too. How many? 6 cars on the driveway.
6 cars. I love that. It's so Aussie, isn't it? He's probably got kids living at home and everybody's bringing a friend around, so probably gets pretty full.
But that's the thing, a good amount of space, right? In some of these places in the sort of the outskirts of the Sydney suburban sprawl, you can get a reasonable block size and have a very good quality of life.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like a castle, doesn't it? That idea of, you can really make it everything that you want that suits your lifestyle and your needs.
Absolutely. Okay, Alice Stoltz here from Domain, 131873. And I just remind you, if you want a property valued, get in touch and we'll put you in touch with Domain. We'll do all the work behind the scenes. We'll get you on like we did there with Dom, and we'll talk about the property on air. Now, Alice, what we'll do, we'll clear a break. We'll come back. We're going to speak to a bit of an expert in the housing game, certainly when it comes to renovation, some of the tips and the traps for young players, that sort of thing. So we'll do that with Alice and our guest straight after this.
Turning our attention now to the ASX, here's Matt Burney and Bulls and Bears with the latest public company views and interviews.
Welcome to Bulls and Bears, brought to you today by Gold Explorer Strickland Metals, ASX code STK. I'm Matt Burney and I'm joined now by the Managing Director of Strickland Metals, Paul Lapinier. Hi, Paul.
G'day, Matt.
Okay, Paul, so Strickland has had a pretty big week, tabling a resource upgrade at your Monster Rogozna gold and base metals project in Serbia and also at your Yandal gold project east of Mikathara in WA. Let's deal with Serbia first. What was your resource at Rogozna in Serbia before the recent upgrade, and what is it now?
Well, our previous resource was about 160 odd million tonnes at 1.1 gram gold equivalent. We've just updated that now. It's almost 200 million tonnes at about 1.2. Of that, about 4 million ounces in gold, over a few 100,000 tonnes of copper, almost 1 million tonnes of zinc, over 30 million ounces of silver. So in total, that's about 7.4 million ounce gold equivalent, and of that, about 60% is gold.
Now, I take it that resource still has legs, and if so, what are your best targets to increase it further? Where are you going to drill next and why?
Well, we're currently drilling at a prospect called Gradina. This is our key focus for this year. It's only 2 kilometres from Shanatz. We've got several high-grade intercepts over sort of 50 metres at 3 grams. So that's our key focus to add a lot of ounces this year.
Now, as I said, you've had a big week. You also tabled a resource upgrade at your Horsewell prospect east of Mikathara within your Yandal project. What was the resource before that upgrade and what is it now?
So before the upgrade, it was a bit over 150,000 ounces, and we've basically just got now almost 300,000 ounces there at Horsewell, which takes the total project to about 400,000 ounces. Importantly, at Horsewell, that's at about 2 grams per tonne from surface, so really high-grade, high-quality ounces there.
Now, I know Strickland previously sold just one gold deposit of that Yandal project to Northern Star, I think for about $60 million. How much bigger was that deposit than the 400,000 ounces you've developed since then?
Yeah, that deposit was about 350,000 ounces when it was sold to Northern Star. So what we've currently got at Yandal is actually more than that now, so it puts us in a pretty good place.
What's your cash at bank at last report?
End of December, we had about 33.8 million in cash and Northern Star shares.
Paul Lapinier from Strickland Metals. Thanks for joining me on Bulls and Bears. And remember, we're only here to give you information, not advice, which you should, of course, seek independently. I'm Matt Burney, and this is Bulls and Bears.
For more public company CEO interviews, go to the Money page at 2gb.com and click the Public Companies tab.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves. Plus, selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7th. Exclusions apply.
It's JB Hi-Fi Stock Take sellout with crazy deals. Like $450 smashed of a Dyson V15 Detect and get 57% of a Dreamy L10S Pro robotic vacuum. Absolutely nuts. JB, you've done it again.
Afternoons on 2GB. Live mortgage-free in Noosa with a $10 ticket in Endeavour Foundation Lottery's $2.9 million prize home draw. EndeavourLotteries.com.au.
Just before we get back to real estate, a number of people still getting in touch to read this situation with the super funds. A lot of people very concerned about Australian super. They're trying to get in touch with Australian super to see if their account's all good and the rest of it, and they just can't get through. Ken's the latest to write to me to say they are uncontactable. The phone rings once and then it just drops out. He said, my partner and I unable to sign into our accounts. Ken, we've put in a call to Australian Super. We're still waiting to hear back from them about what is going on. It's either simply it's crashing under the demand of concerned people, or there's something wrong with the system. As soon as we find out, Ken, we'll let you know. We'll let everybody know, because at times like this is when you need to be able to get in touch to be reassured. 131873. Okay, back to the world of real estate. Of course, we've got Alice here from Domain. Alice, let's bring in our guest here, Kurt Hegschwaller. Now, Kurt is the founder of a group called Builders Coach, and I think most people in the real estate game know that building and renovating can cost a pretty penny these days. The prices have gone through the roof. So we thought we'd have a chat about how to do it in the most cost-effective way. Kurt, welcome to the program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Michael. Great to be here.
Okay, so you're with that group Builders Coach. What do you do?
Yeah. So I help builders run a more professional business. Most builders know how to build, but they're not so clued up on how to, organise their systems, processes, and just run a more professional outfit.
Okay, now the average renovation cost, it's hard to get an average because properties are all different sizes and in different places, but let's say you've got a 4-bedroom house and you want to renovate it as opposed to extend it. You're going to do a few bathrooms, you've got to do a bit of this, a bit of that inside. I mean, what sort of money are people now looking at?
It's a bit of how long is a piece of string question that. But to give you an idea, like if you had $1 million to spend back in January 21, say, to do a renovation, you'd need $1.5 million to do the same work today.
In 4 years, it's gone up that much?
It actually went up that much in 3 years. So 53% increase, It's been the biggest jump in 20 years.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And it's similar when it comes to building a house from scratch. It used to be around $320,000 in January 2021, and now it's just under $500,000 as well, Michael. And that's actually building a whole house from scratch. So it's similar whether you're renovating or starting with very blank canvas.
I suppose, Kurt, one of the problems is that we see this from a lot of builders, and no doubt they're the ones talking to you, are the ones that go in with a fixed price contract and then inflation runs away like crazy. They have to complete the build because of the contract, but they go broke in the process, right?
Absolutely. That's the exact reason a lot of the bigger guys went under. There's also, delays in building approvals. Material costs went up. That's sort of stabilising now, but, wage costs, the lack of workers as well, and then changes to land taxes. And most people think builders make a lot of money. They don't, but they've been forced to pass, these increases onto people. So it's been tough going. But, a lot of those guys that got into fixed price contracts and they locked them in, and then because of the delays with permits and approvals, by the time they got started and then finished, they were underwater.
Okay, what's driving these prices up as crazy as you've suggested they are? What are the driving factors here?
Definitely, there was the surge in building during the pandemic that had an impact, and then also, just with materials, being able to access materials, that had a massive impact. But labour costs as well, huge. Like if you look at, stats from 2023, there were 42,000 new apprentices coming into the industry, which was 25% down on the previous year. And, the ABS data is not finalised yet for 24-25, but it's on the same trajectory, possibly 5 to 10% worse. So we just don't have enough people coming into the industry, And then obviously immigration as well has had an impact.
As in what? Immigration, obviously people aren't coming in with the skills to be brickies and plumbers and the like from what you're saying, but they are coming in and they need to live somewhere. So there's your supply-demand mix. Yeah,
exactly. So, they're not bringing in enough people in the trades, but also, immigration is driving the housing crisis, right? Like, people need somewhere to live, and there's not enough houses.
Alice, what do you want to ask Kurt?
One question I would love to ask Kurt, having the luxury of your knowledge here, is I love this idea about thinking of a renovation cost by square metre. Now, I know many builders are really reluctant to do it, but the rule of thumb I've always been told is that it used to be, pre-COVID, around $3,000 to $3,500 per square metre, and that number has now gone up to around $4,500 per square metre. I want to know, is that kind of an accurate ballpark? And second of all, it is quite a useful sort of idea to think about when you're trying to understand the cost of renovating, isn't it?
It's so difficult to get accurate numbers with a renovation, right? With any construction, for that matter, and most people are completely unaware of that. So square metre rates is actually the last way that we recommend builders do a quote. You can get a rough ballpark figure using square metre rates, but if you want to do an accurate quote, you need to slow it down, take the time to find out the cost of the materials, the labour, the subcontractors, and then also like the hourly rates of the carpenters and the supervision and the project managers as well. So the builders that we work with, getting the numbers right is crucial because of the price shock that everyone's experiencing. So we get them to work with quality estimators to get the numbers right, and then they usually charge a nominal fee for that. So that's a good way to find a builder who actually knows how to get the numbers right.
It's interesting.
Most of them can't.
Interesting. Just before you go, Kurt, just finally, one thing I learned from builders, and builders listening to us now might want to add to this after the news on the open line, but it's not the building that always makes them financially come unstuck. It's the time and effort they dedicate to free quotes. Knowing that the vast majority of people will not then go on and take the job. And so, if you're operating in this environment where the prices are going up exponentially because of inflation, you've got to put together a very careful quote. You can't just rush it on a sort of a rule of thumb per square metre basis, right? There's got to be a lot of time and effort taken. Well, that's, of course, time you're not on the site, you're not on the tools, you're not being productive, making money on a job. And then, of course, if person after person says thanks for that, but no thanks, you can go broke pretty quickly.
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head there, Michael. 80% of free quotes are not worth the paper they're written on, so make sure they do a proper job. But the other important thing for anyone listening, and this is really, like I'm sounding the alarm here, you've got to get the builder involved as early on in the pre-construction process as possible. It's called ECI, and there's actually a term for it now. It's been spearheaded in Australia and New Zealand, early contractor involvement or early builder involvement, because they can offer their expertise in terms of materials, like understanding of costs, the subcontractors and build process to help align people's budgets with what they eventually spend.
Good on you, Kurt. Great to speak. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I think people learned a bit there. Thank you. All the best.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
All the best. Kurt Heggett-Schwaller there, as I said, founder of Builders Coach, and that figure there, the ECI. Bear that in mind. Hey, before you go, Alice, the bargain of the week. We're off to Rose Hill for this one, aren't we?
Rose Hill's a great little area, isn't it, Michael? And then we saw a unit there sell last week at the most affordable sale, last weekend in Sydney. It was 2-bed, 1 bath, $502,000 it sold. Now, this is not just any unit. It's got 2 bedrooms. It's also got a standalone laundry, and I'm sure people are thinking, and who cares, big deal. But that makes a big difference if you're not having to have a dual-purpose bathroom or kitchen with that sort of Euro-style laundry. Yeah. It also has a balcony and quite spacious living areas, but it also has a lock-up garage. Now, I love this idea that you can always then potentially, as we've talked about in the past, siphon that off, rent it out on the side to someone potentially, or you can use it yourself. But it's just another surplus area that you can obviously put storage and stuff like that. And this unit's really well located near schools and not too far from the train station, Harris Park Station.
Yeah, and increasingly becoming better connected because of light rail and the rest, Rose Hill. So,
Yep.
okay.
Hey, Michael, can I just tell you about a little Renault hack that I love that I think everybody should know about?
Yeah, quickly,
you can basically get IKEA carcasses, etc., and then you can actually get companies that will then put on a sort of a nicer, smarter facade on those cupboards and door handles and that. So if some people just Google like IKEA workarounds, whatever, you'll find there's lots of companies that do it. But another great way of doing cost saving behind the scenes and actually having sort of more, swish-looking facades when you're doing your kitchens and your bathrooms and stuff like that.
It's a great little tip. All right, we'll get more of those next week, Alice. I'll take notes. All the best. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch you next week on The Real Estate Show.
Thank you, Michael.
Alice Stoltz there from Domain.
Traffic, suffering from headaches, sore neck or snoring? The solution could be the world's best premium supportive spinal ease pillow. Order now at spinalease.com.au.
We've had a couple of truck and car crashes on the motorways. M2 at North Rocks. We've got the Prang near Barclay Road, one westbound lane closed. M5 at Riverwood, truck and car crash heading east near Belmore Road. At Hoxton Park, single vehicle accident. A car's actually got into a tree. Hoxton Park Road at Wilson Road. The M4 westbound off-ramp to Mulgoa Road at Mulgoa is closed for emergency roadworks, and King Street Newtown could do with a hand. I'm Steve Carline on Sydney's 2GB.
Coming up on Sydney's Best Breakfast.
He calls himself your online brother. Meet the Indigenous youth leader sending a message to his people. The main argument, stop treating white Australia as the enemy. Also coming up, another top cop joins us live in studio as he farewells New South Wales Police. The head of homicide, Danny Doherty, will be one of our guests. And we're giving away tickets to the Sydney Royal Easter Show. Talk soon.
Ben Fordham live on 2GB.
Trust Nivea to deliver simple yet effective results with daily usage for your skin. The new Nivea Q10 Anti-Wrinkle Extra Firming SPF 30-Day Cream with a new formula now enriched with hyaluronic acid reduces wrinkles in just 7 days. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
A Velocity Frequent Flyer Points earning credit card is your runway to rewards. Rewards like bonus points that get you on vacay sooner, or peace of mind with complimentary travel insurance, or simply reclining in the Virgin Australia Lounge. That's a reward in itself. Holiday sooner with the Velocity Points earning credit card. Search Velocity Credit Cards to find the card for you. Consider if the credit card is suitable for you before applying. Individual card benefits vary. T's and C's, minimum spend and eligibility criteria apply.
Dan Murphy's don't match prices, they beat them. And with Dan's deals, get Grant Burge Pinot Noir Chardonnay non-vintage sparkling, $16 for My Dan's members. End Sunday. Choose to drink wise. T's and C's apply.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
It's your last chance to shop River's closing down sale. Absolutely everything $15 or less. Prices from just $3. Save 70 to 90% off store-wide. Rush in today before River's closes for good. T's and C's apply.
At IGA, great value is easy to find. Like Kellogg's cereals, Fruit Loops, $2.85 gram, or Crunchy Nut Cornflakes, $3.80 gram, $3.50 each. Half price. IGA. You can't beat local. Offer ends April 8. Participating stores only. Excludes IGA local grocer.
Living with diabetes? Ditch finger pricks with Freestyle Libre. Freestyle Libre is a small wearable sensor that monitors your glucose levels and trends and sends them straight to your phone. Instant, up-to-date feedback. No finger pricks. How good is that? And you can trial Freestyle Libre for only $15. Just head to freestylelibre.com.au to find out how. T's and C's apply. Follow directions for use. Read warnings before purchase. Free yourself from finger pricks with Freestyle Libre.
2GB afternoons. You can experience the ultimate waterfront lifestyle at Woolaware Shores by Anglicare in the heart of the Sutherland Shire. woolawareshores.org.au.
All right, we've got the 2 o'clock news just around the corner. Time waits for no person. After that, we'll get into Friday food. We'll give the Australian beef industry, the Australian meat industry a bit of support today in light of everything that's going on. I'll catch up with the General Manager of the Australian Meat Emporium.
Your city, your local station. Sydney's 2GB. 773.
It's 2 o'clock at afternoon. I'm Erin Marr. Major superannuation funds have been targeted by hackers, with some retirees losing their savings. Thousands of REST members have had their account details breached, while a handful of Australian super members have lost money. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he's been briefed on the cyber attacks, which he says are becoming a regular occurrence.
I have been informed about that. We will respond in time. We're considering what has occurred, but bear in mind the context here. There is an attack, a cyber attack in Australia about every 6 minutes. This is a regular issue.
A man is being accused of making anti-Semitic comments during a live TV broadcast. The 48-year-old was arrested in Darlinghurst in Sydney's inner suburbs. He's been charged with knowingly displaying a Nazi symbol without a reasonable excuse. There are demands for a wide-ranging review of security at AFL games after 2 men allegedly armed with handguns got into the MCG. Every person who enters the stadium is supposed to go through new high-tech scanners. The men were arrested after security called police because they were refusing to leave the ground. President of the AFL Fans Association, Ron Isco, says it's concerning.
It's never happened before. It's a concern that the security had a glitch and failed to pick it up. And they're going to beef up security for the rest of the round. And if that means a little bit slower getting in, I think fans will perfectly understand that we've got to get the security 100% right.
A Service New South Wales concierge has avoided jail after leaking personal details. Selena Saab sent the details of 85 people onto her friend's boyfriend so he could falsely claim tens of thousands of dollars in COVID and flood relief payments. He was jailed, but Saab has been sentenced to a 2-year intensive corrections order. Peter Dutton says there are mutual interests in defence spending which could help Australia secure a better deal on US tariffs. The opposition leader has pushed for more detail about his plan to leverage defence on the defence relationship in trade talks with the Trump administration. He says it's not about taking elements of current agreements off the table until there's an exemption.
There's opportunity there for us to purchase more from our allies, including the United States, and for them to purchase more from us. In relation to the Guided Weapons Explosive Ordnance, the GWEO program that we had, that is about keeping our country safe.
Analysis shows 7 of the 10 least affordable electorates in the country are in New South Wales, and Sydney's Vivid Festival has announced American TV personality Martha Stewart as part of the event's lineup. In finance, the All Ords down 165, $1 Australian dollar, buying 63.28 US cents.
Finance. Whether retirement is a few beats or just a tick away, Aware Super can help you find your rhythm of retirement. Visit us at aware.com.au.
Filling the game after his team had an equaliser overturned in their 1-0 loss to Chelsea in the Premier League. Aussies Molly Picklum and Ethan Ewing have won their opening round heats at the El Salvador Surf Pro. And in the NBA, the Bucks have beaten the 76ers 126-113. That's sport. I'm Adam Hawes.
It's 2:04. That's the latest news and sport.
It's about stories, about connection, conversations, and news you can trust. Your station, Sydney's 2GB.
With the Domain app, you can shortlist properties with whoever you're in the property market with. So you don't need to present your findings at the dinner table every night. Or worry about why they haven't replied to that property link you sent them. Or whether or not you actually like the same properties. Or if you even like each other. In fact, it might single-handedly save your relationship. Shortlist properties together. Download the Domain app and know what we know.
Sydney traffic. Almost at your destination? Got to get on with your day? Catch up on any show you miss on the app or online at 2gb.com.
I've got half a...
All yours, live and free, 24/7 on the 9Now app. Your home of free footy and so much more. 9Now.
I need somebody.
A help company would offer anyone can drive it cover because we don't want a minor scrape to your car, putting a strain on a friendship or creating family drama. So that's what we're doing. Visit us in branch or search Anyone Can Drive It cover from NRMA.
Carline on your traffic leader.
Excesses may apply. Refer to your certificate of insurance. Cover is subject to standard underwriting guidelines and policy terms. Always
round, streaming live and free.
NRMA.com.au.
2GB weather. Rain, hail or shine, we'll be here to help when unexpected weather comes your
podcast.
It's a footy fan stream.
A sunny afternoon. There is the slight chance of a shower about. Light winds. Sunny tomorrow. 16 to 25 on the coast. 12 to 26 in the west. Further ahead, sunny for Sunday. Mostly sunny Monday. Then a shower or two on Tuesday. Right now in the city, it's 24 degrees. Humid. There is the slight chance of a shower about. Light winds. Sunny tomorrow. 16 to 25 on the coast. 12 to 26 in the west. Further ahead, sunny for Sunday. Mostly sunny Monday. Then a shower or two on Tuesday. Right now in the city, it's 24 degrees, humidity 61%, winds east-south-east 17 kilometres an hour. Bankstown, Campbelltown 24 degrees, Lucas Heights, Terry Hills 23, Penrith 26. I'm Erin Ma. There'll be more news at 2:30 on your news leader, Sydney's 2GB.
Now on 2GB and network stations. Back to afternoons with Michael McLaren.
Just on the superannuation situation, Australian Super confirming hundreds of members impacted. I think the figure I saw was at least 600. At least $100,000 has been stolen in suspected cyber attacks on a number of superannuation accounts. So a lot of people trying to get in touch with all of their different super providers saying, oh, am I part of it? Chances are you're not, looking at the scope of this. But a number of the super providers are simply, they have a system, a database that just can't cope with the volume of calls seemingly coming through from what you're saying to me. So if you're trying to get in touch with whatever your industry provider is, and you're not getting through, we're hearing behind the scenes that chances are it's simply just overload at this stage. We will keep inquiring on your behalf, and if we can get an answer, we will. 131873. This story bubbled through a while ago, and I had to check the date because I thought it must be an April Fool's one. There was a few this year. But no, this came through the day before, March 31 from the UK. And I've shared with you one or two stories in the past about the incredible leniency that some of the courts in Europe, even though it's not in the national interest. And there was that one the other day about the Albanian whose kid couldn't go back to Albania because he didn't like the chicken nuggets. Migrants, illegal immigrants and the like. That wasn't strong enough an argument. But this one might be. An Afghan accused of smuggling thousands of migrants somewhere over there that'll help them do it, even though it's not in the national interest. And Belgium's not such a bad place because there are mosquitoes in the... Belgium's not such a bad place because there are mosquitoes in the prison in Belgium. Well, so a court has heard. The 25-year-old was arrested in Britain after a Belgian judge jailed him in his absence last year. He was alleged to be part of a gang involved in organising the transportation of migrants from Afghanistan through Iran, Turkey, the Balkans, into Europe, including to France and then Belgium. He managed to get all the way to the UK. But many would then be put on small boats in northern France and head across the Channel. Some members of the gang suspected of transporting thousands. This particular way. I mean, these are really bad people. Really bad people. But the individual's now fighting extradition on the grounds that the conditions he would face in prison in Belgium would violate Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights. It just keeps popping up. Why the Brits don't cut themselves completely free of human rights? It just keeps popping up. Why the Brits don't cut themselves completely free of this ECHR thing? It's got me perplexed. It is just such a boondoggle. Now, Article 3 apparently protects people from inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. I'm not sure when the founding fathers drafted that they had mosquitoes in prison in mind as part of the definition. But it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. All right, he may have been planning the chicken nugget defence, only to realise maybe he didn't have a son and it didn't work last time. But maybe now it's the mosquito defence. Let's see if that prevails. 131873. If the weather holds up like it looks like it's going to, plenty of people will be activating the barbecue over the weekend. And what a good weekend to put a bit of Australian meat on the barbecue, support the local industry. I mean, the tariffs are one thing, but a lot of the big cattle producers in Queensland are like, they're suffering with these horrendous floods at the moment. And there are a lot of things happening at once here, which is making life for some of our primary producers pretty tough. So I thought we'd dedicate Friday Food to them today and try to get people to put a bit of Australian meat on the plate and get your iron levels up and all the rest of it. And people have said to me, just before I get to my next guest. And they said, have you tried American beef? I said, well, no, I've never been to America. I haven't. They said, well, look, don't rush. Don't waste your time. I said, the reason they buy so much of ours is apparently ours is so much better than theirs. Now, maybe you get what you pay for. I don't know. I'm sure there's some very good American beef ranches and they produce some good stuff, I'm sure. But maybe the stock standard stuff's pretty ordinary. American beef ranches and they produce some good stuff, I'm sure. But maybe the stock standard stuff's pretty ordinary compared to what we are so lucky to get here. So let's cherish it. Let's support it. Rob Greenhouse Ward is the general manager of a wonderful business. It's the Australian Meat Emporium. They've got a big outlet down there near the airport, actually. People rave about it. And he's on the line. Rob, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. How are you?
I'm well. Congratulations on the business. It's going from strength to strength.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going well. And we're growing and we're really happy with, I guess our customers are really happy with what we're putting on the shelf. So all is well.
That's how it should be. Okay, so all the talk at the moment, obviously, is tariffs and the Australian beef seems to be particularly exposed. As far as what you put on your shelves, I mean, is there any American beef at all or is it simply all Australian stuff?
Definitely not American beef. Pretty much Australia is one of the biggest beef producers in the world. And as you were saying about American beef, if you're buying anything other than Australian beef in Australia, then something's probably wrong. You're probably not at the right establishment.
I suppose that's right. Why? I mean, we can be patriotic all we like, but why is ours a superior product?
Look, we have a unique position in that we have a lot of land and not a lot of people. So we have a lot of agricultural land, which allows us to produce, obviously, we have the space to produce a lot of livestock. And then we also have programs in industry, and the industry is set up specifically to support farmers and the production of good quality red meat. So we have different classifications for meat, and we have, a well resort.
We've got a big continent, but some of it's not that arable, but we make the most of it. We've become terribly lean and efficient. And I mean, the beef farmers would be right up the top there globally, wouldn't they, in that metric?
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the quality of the cattle we produce is up there, and then also the quality of our processing. So our abattoirs and it feeds all the way down to, our butcher shops. You'll find better meat in Australian butcher shops and supermarkets, for that matter, than pretty much everywhere else in the world. If you go to places in Europe and the US, yes, you'll find it, but you're probably going to pay a lot more.
Yes.
And it's probably less plentiful.
I mean, it is testament, isn't it, the fact that we export this stuff all over the world. Often there's a premium applied to it because of the cost of export and the rest, but we also export some of the best stuff. So, your top grade Wagyu and this. I mean, in Asia, it's dare I say it, red meat gold over there, really.
Pretty much. The main Wagyu, if it's not coming from Japan around the world, is most likely Australian. And, we have we are located near the airport in Sydney. We have a lot of people coming in and buying a whole bunch of meat and then taking on the airplane across to different
big place down there near the airport. I'm led to believe you've got Sydney's biggest cool room. Is that right?
That is correct. We like to, although if someone was to challenge that, it's a bit of he said, she said. It's like having the best pie in the world. No one is actually probably going to challenge that. But yes, we probably do have the biggest cool room, I would say, in Australia.
I mean, you could measure it, right? you could actually work it out.
Yeah, of course.
It's not that subjective. Anyway, whatever. It's very, very big. When people come down there, with a cool room of that scale, what's on offer? It must be almost everything.
Yeah. So we basically supply almost every different type of protein. So we have obviously all your main categories, but then also a lot of game meat and a lot of stuff you're probably not finding anywhere else. Like we have some crocodile, I think we have some emu in the freezer, we have rabbits and all that kind of thing in between.
Really?
But one of our biggest, I guess, product lines is we have our own farm, which means we can bring our own cattle through the store. And so that means we can have a nose to tail approach. So we sell everything from the tail of the animal to the tongue of the animal and everything in between. Which, again, we're talking about different quality of Australian meat. We are able to satisfy all the different cuisines that we have in Australia because we're such a multicultural society.
Yes.
And the different cuisines obviously have been used, they use different parts of the animal. So we sell a lot of tongue and offal meat, and then also a lot of, we call them secondary cuts, which are kind of your more value-added, better bang for your buck cuts, because they're really popular in other cuisines like South American and Asian cuisines.
Yeah, you can get your protein, but without the price tag, I suppose.
Exactly.
I mean, the tongue thing, I occasionally eat out. I haven't seen beef tongue on a menu, as far as I can remember, for quite a long time. Is this actually selling?
Yes, we sell quite a lot of it, and a lot of it goes to, if you go to somewhere like a Korean barbecue, you'll probably see beef tongue on the menu, or like in Chinese cuisine, certain parts of China use beef tongue as a delicacy.
How about that? So the idea is basically waste not, want not, and it's sort of a mindset that would have prevailed even in Australia, more so in previous times, but with cost of living pressures, I guess, as you say, and also the increasing multicultural nature of the community. Some of these formerly discarded cuts are now, you can make some money on them.
Exactly, and I guess they're our own cows as well, so we try and waste as little as possible because we raise these cows and they live a good life, and then we obviously want to extract as much of the cow as possible and not go into a bin. So we are proud that we can offer everything in between, and we're able to sell most of it, which is great.
Just finally then, back to the whole tariff thing, which I guess is the catalyst of us speaking today. We want people to buy Australian beef and support the local guys. Now, American beef isn't on the market here, so we don't have to sort of boycott that to buy ours or anything like that. But broadly speaking, we do export a lot of good quality beef to America. If the tariff is applied, maybe some of that won't be going anymore because maybe it won't be cost competitive. We'll have to see. I mean, it could do one of two things. It could then either go to a different overseas market, should they wish to buy it, or it could come on our shelves here. Do we generally export the better quality stuff, or do we export sort of all different types of beef abroad?
Yeah, good question. So we do export a range because we produce so much, we don't have the population to consume it.
Yeah.
To the States, I think for the majority, our export is lean trim. So that's all the stuff. That's basically unclassified cut, which is made for mince and burgers and sausages and manufactured products. Then that's the majority of our export. At the moment, I was doing a little calculation before. If they are putting a 10% tariff on this lean trim, we're still 7.5% to 8% cheaper than their domestic beef. So
wow,
even with a tariff, our beef is still quite a bit cheaper.
Wow. Okay.
And then that's also not in consideration with, I guess, other countries who are also getting hit with tariffs and then putting reciprocal tariffs on. And so they're probably more likely to buy Australian beef than American beef.
So there's a lot of gnashing of teeth and consternation at the moment because, the accepted and established norm is being upended. But even with that, you're saying we'll still be cheaper than the American domestic product and probably a better product. And so it may not be curtains yet. Yeah,
exactly. And I guess Australian beef compared to other beef producers around the world, the Americans love Australian beef because of its quality, its food safety, its traceability. And over the last, recent years, our imports of grass-fed beef into America is increasing, and Americans are wanting more and more grass-fed beef, which we have quite a lot of, because we have a lot of grass and we have a lot of land.
Well, that's a very interesting takeaway. I'm glad we spoke just for that alone. Well done again on the business. I know it's going from strength to strength, Rob, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Michael. See you in store.
Yeah, look forward to it. Rob Greenhow-Ward, as I said, the general manager of the Australian Meat Emporium. You might have checked them out, the biggest cool room, allegedly, in, what was it, Sydney, Southern Hemisphere, world, galaxy. I can't remember which measure it was. But all sorts of stuff there, not just beef. What are you saying? Game meat, crocodile, emu. I don't think too many people would be whipping up an emu steak on the barbecue on Saturday, but there again, why not? Rabbit and then the old beef tongue. Anyone listening out there had beef tongue lately? I suspect most people haven't. Korean barbecues, okay, maybe, fine, but not too much you can do with beef tongue, really. What used to be sort of in Anglo cuisine is boil it, didn't you? Didn't you boil it in like a big pot with onions and juniper or something, or clove? I don't know. You're probably pushing it uphill, tariffs or not flogging that on a menu for $15 a bowl. But there again, don't try it till you've don't knock it till you try it, one way or the other. It's 2:22. More after this.
Attention business owners, sign up for Shell Card, link your flybys, and you can collect points when you or your team fill up at Shell Ready Express. For details, visit shell.com.au/fly promo. One Flybuys card holder must be linked to a Shell Card account. Use code FLY promo on sign up. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
It's time to wake up to a great night's sleep, night after night, with Tempur's range of mattresses, adjustable bases and pillows. Born from NASA technology and perfected for sleep, Tempur is made in Denmark with a 10-year new-for-old replacement warranty. Transform your nights with Tempur, where comfort meets innovation. Find your nearest stockist at tempur.com.au. The difference is Tempur.
Abuse doesn't end at separation, it escalates. My fear came from how unpredictable he was.
Hello, my name is Tara Ray Moss, your new host of There's No Place Like Home, after she leaves. Over 8 episodes, I'll take you through dozens of interviews with psychologists, frontline workers, and of course, victim survivors of domestic violence. They'll tell you in their own words why leaving was never that simple. There's no place like home. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
In an emergency, always call 000.
If you love sport, then you'll love this better offer. For all NRL games this weekend, bet on the match result in any game. And if your team leads by 6 or more at halftime, you'll get paid. That's better.
Chances are you're about to lose.
This year, experience a legendary adventure on board the GAN. This is your last chance to book for 2025 and save on this all-inclusive rail journey between Adelaide and Darwin. Search the GAN today.
A help company would offer forgot to lock up cover because leaving a window or door open can happen to any of us on a busy Tuesday morning. So that's what we're doing. Visit us in branch or search forgot to lock up cover from NRMA Insurance, a help company. Home building, home contents and combined home building and contents policies only. Policy limits, conditions and exclusions apply. Always read the PDS and TMDs from NRMA Insurance at nrma.com.au.
Dan Murphy's don't match prices, they beat them. And with Dan's deals, get Grant Burge Pinot Noir Chardonnay non-vintage sparkling $16 for My Dan's members. End Sunday. Choose to drink wise. T's and C's apply.
Afternoons on 2GB. There's a happy place for everyone at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, April 11 to 22. Grab early bird tickets and save at eastershow.com.au.
Okay, tongues aplenty by the sound of things. Steve says, my wife's from Yorkshire. We used to have tongue sandwiches at a family event when we lived there. Okay. Were they any good stuff? I mean, I wonder, look, I think the problem with tongue is the idea, this is what my issue is. If I'm thinking I'm eating it, I sort of get in my mind this idea that I'm biting my own tongue, which is something you want to avoid when you eat, right? So I don't know. Maybe, for me, it's a psychological thing. I'm sure if you disguise it with enough herbs and spices, it can taste like anything. Someone here says that the Lebanese mother-in-law always cooks tongue for The husband on a fortnightly basis, it's his favourite meal with some walnut and garlic sauce. David, back in Ceylon, beef tongue stew, much as you described it. This one from Jenny. My mother had a small book called Children's Party Food. Oh dear, where's this going? Children's Party Food Ideas, probably published in the 50s. One of the ideas was tongue sandwiches. Kid you not. Kerry. My son ordered beef tongue at quite an upmarket Italian restaurant. A giant tongue on a plate arrived, and he ate it. It looked disgusting, turned me off my dinner. That's from Kerry. Thank you, Kerry. Saeed, you like tongue too, do you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Every time I tune up to your show, something interesting going on. And I just hit the dial button.
Good.
So, yeah, absolutely. We loved eating tongue. The best way we cook it is that just, put some salt on it and a little bit of, garlic, and just put it on a pan with a little bit of oil, toast it from both sides, and it's all done. Pakistan, where, and Muslims, we do have Eid every year, where everyone has to slaughter an animal and distribute the meat to the poor and needy. So we do not waste anything in the animal's body. So
I admire that. I do. I really admire that. I mean, that was the mindset of my grandparents' generation. Before, when you go through depressions and all sorts of things, you can't afford to waste. We're a bit spoilt now, I suppose. Well, let's see how these tariffs go. But so just before you go, you say, I just trying to work out how this is done. You don't stick the whole big long tongue on the grill. You slice it thin first, do you, and then?
Absolutely, yeah. So just put it thin, put some salt in it, and fry it with a little bit of oil. And once it's brown from toasted from both ends, good to go.
Okay. All right, Saeed. Appreciate your call. Have a lovely Friday. Thank you. Steve, you do it a bit differently, do you?
Certainly. The best way to do tongue is the nickname for tongue is corned shoe liquor, because well, it's the same as the oxtail is called steering gear, because you can grab the ox by the tail and steer it.
Yeah.
But what you do is you do it the same as you do corned beef. So you and if you really want to tart it up, you put it in the slow cooker with ginger ale, and maybe a sprinkle of Keen's curry powder, and a couple of onions in there, and let it cook for 4 or 6 hours in the slow cooker, and it comes out, and it is the most delightful. It's better than corned beef.
Tender tongue.
Yeah, tender shoe liquor.
Tender shoe liquor. It must be calf's leather. Good on you, Steve. Appreciate it, mate. Have a good Friday.
It's that time of the afternoon. Time to find out what's coming up.
As if McDonald's do a McTongue burger. Hello, Clinton Maynard.
I'm feeling a little Kia's all-new small sedan GT line variant available now. Find out more about Kia's latest small car.
Now, the only way this man will ever have tongue...
So I mentioned to you earlier in the week that when I went through the KFC, the Kentucky Fried Chicken drive-through the other day, they failed to do what they should do best, cook chicken. They failed to do what they should do best, cook chicken. They'd run out of chicken. So I think maybe the next option for the good folk at KFC is to become KFT, Kentucky Fried Tongue.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't run out. There'd be a constant supply. How long?
How do you know where the tongue's been before you eat the tongue?
No, okay. Do you eat eggs?
Yes.
You know where they've been?
Well, I don't eat the shell.
Okay, but you can peel the tongue. I think you can peel the tongue, don't you?
Oh, right.
I believe that's what you do.
I thought you eat it whole.
Well, what, the whole tongue? Have you seen how big calves' tongues are?
Well, it depends what animal
What are
it's
you, a
coming
sword
from.
swallower or something, eh? No, well, yeah. I mean, what about rump? Rump steak. You eat that? You know what goes on around there?
But you cook your rump steak first.
Well, they cook the tongue. No one's having it carpaccio.
Raw tongue. In Japan, they do.
Do they?
Love raw tongue.
How do you know that?
They love raw food in Japan.
A tongue?
With everything.
What's Japanese for raw tongue?
Everything. We'll find out. 131873.
After 3 o'clock. What's coming up as well as that answer?
Look, we'll find out exactly what was inside the balls that arrived. Well, it depends what animal
What are
it's
you, a
coming
sword
from.
swallower or something, eh? No, well, yeah, I mean, what about rump? Rump steak. You eat that? You know what goes on around there?
But you cook your rump steak first.
Well, they cook the tongue. No one's having it carpaccio.
Raw tongue. In Japan, they do.
Do they?
Love raw tongue.
How do you know that?
They love raw food in Japan.
A tongue?
With everything.
What's Japanese for raw tongue?
Everything we'll find out. 131873.
After 3 o'clock. What's coming up as well as that answer?
Look, we'll find out exactly what was inside the balls that arrived on. I just can't handle this segment sometimes. You just make me laugh, Michael.
You said it, not me.
It's great.
Does it?
Richard Roxburgh plays Peter Grester, who 2013, reporting for Al Jazeera, war correspondent, was thrown into an Egyptian jail. There were trumped-up charges. He was sentenced to 7 years, served 400. I saw the movie a couple of days ago. It's being released in a few days' time, a couple of weeks' time. It's really good. I was fortunate to interview Richard and Peter a little earlier.
Richard's fantastic.
Yeah, you look at his body of work. What
Amazing.
He's done.
Amazing.
And the ability to, and this is a serious movie, it's a gritty movie, but to go from playing roles in Baz Luhrmann features such as Elvis, Moulin Rouge, to then be able to pull off a performance like this.
Versatile.
He was in The Crown as Bob Hawke a couple of years ago.
He was too.
Yeah.
He was fantastic in that, actually.
He's a great actor. New movie coming out, The Correspondent. And we are going to talk about the big potato at Robertson.
Oh, yes.
I actually don't think it looks like a potato.
I was not going to go back there.
It's been painted pink. We'll find out exactly why on
Clock Sydney now with Clinton Maynard. Erin Maher, save us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. Gangland figure Tony Mockbell has been released from custody. He's been granted bail while he appeals his convictions because his lawyer was a police informant. Superannuation members have reported losing money after their accounts were hacked in a coordinated cyber attack. Former State MP Rory Amon has pleaded not guilty to 10 charges relating to child sex offences. He'll face trial in February next year. An American danger tourist faces up to 5 years in prison after illegally sailing to the remote North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal and leaving a can of Coke for the world's most isolated tribe. In sport, a blow for Rugby Australia. Wallabies star Noah Lolesio has announced he's taking up an offer to play in Japan at the end of this season. And there'll be more news at 3 o'clock.
On afternoons, a finance update for Pretzel Wealth and Finance. For trusted financial planning, just Google Blake went to Pretzel.
All right, let's go to Scott Phillips from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au, Friday Finance. Scott, no need to go into any particular companies today because it's a sea of red. What's the market looking like and how's the dollar reacting today?
Yeah, well, let's set it up. Overnight, the S&P 500 was down 4.8%. The Nasdaq, the tech-heavy Nasdaq, down 6%, 5.97 for those two decimal places. Probably fortunate we're getting away with much more lightly than that, but still a really rugged day for the All Ords. Currently down 2.2%. 7,877 points. The tariffs continue to reverberate. The Aussie dollar down against the US dollar by about 1/3%, currently 62.52 US cents.
Yeah, it's been quite the hemorrhage on the market, hasn't it?
Really has. It's going to be a tough one until we kind of get more certainty about what's going to go on and the impacts that are going to...
Weekend brings. Thank you, Scott. Enjoy the weekend nonetheless. Scott Phillips there from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au. Now, we have got a statement here from...
with that brush, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll talk on Monday and let's see what the weekend brings. Thank you, Scott. Enjoy the weekend nonetheless. Scott Phillips there from the Motley Fool. Been quite the hemorrhage on the market. We are experiencing a high volume of traffic to our call centre, member online accounts and mobile app, and that's causing intermittent outages. Even though you may not be able to see your account or you are seeing a $0 balance, situation, and we're working hard to resolve it as quickly as possible. We apologise for any inconvenience. So that's come from Australian Super. But I think the important point there for people worried is this, that even though you may not be able to see your account or you are seeing a $0 balance, your account is secure. So that's come from Australian Super. But I think the important point there for people worried is this, that even though you may not be able to see your account or you are seeing a $0 balance, your account is secure. That's coming from the team at Australian Super. Any further update before 3 o'clock, I will share it with you.
Traffic, suffering from headache, sore neck or snoring? The solution could be the world's best premium supportive spinal ease pillow. Order now at spinalease.com.au.
There's a truck and car crash at Mascot, Wentworth Avenue West towards Botany Road. At Hoxton Park, a car's punched into a tree on Hoxton Park Road, west near Wilson Road. M2 around North Rocks. Now, there's conflicting reports, but it appears a few cars have crashed into a machine that's fallen from the back of a truck. Someone doesn't know knots. Westbound traffic's pretty ugly. Traffic lights are blacked out in Maroubra, Anzac Parade at Beecham Road, and the Eastern Distributor now getting crowded southbound. I'm Steve Carline on Sydney's 2GB.
Universities matter because of what matters to us, like crops that survive droughts and medical research. For more ways universities benefit us.
Guy with a weekend footy preview, plus I'll have more Easter Show tickets to give away.
Sydney Now with Clinton Maynard. Today from 3 on
the election. The campaign has reached Sydney.
I need somebody.
A help company would offer anyone can drive it cover because we don't want a minor scrape to your car, putting a strain on
13. Richard and Peter both joining me on the show. The big potato in Robertson has been...
Or search anyone can drive it cover from NRMA Insurance, a help company. Excesses may apply. Refer to your certificate of insurance. Cover is subject to standard underwriting guidelines and policy terms. Always read the PDS and TMDs from NRMA Insurance. Cover is subject to standard underwriting guidelines and policy terms. Always read the PDS and TMDs from NRMA Insurance at nrma.com.au.
Families can sing it.
Nobody but Nobby.
Kids can sing it.
Nobody but Nobby.
Even dogs. Maybe not. You know, people have sung our praises since the 40s, thanks to Nobby's quality kitchens, our affordable prices and free designs. Plus, this month, get 30% off cabinets. Who gives you all that with 30% off cabinets?
Nobody but Nobby.
Nobby, huge showrooms at Pymble, Castle Hill, Tarrant Point and Belrose.
Unlock Noosa Living with Endeavour Foundation Lotteries. For just $10, you could win a $2.9 million designer home, mortgage-free. Plus, star supporters share in over $14 million in prizes. Enter now at endeavourlotteries.com.au. T's and C's apply.
9 News is your news. Join the 9 News team for the stories that matter. Made in Sydney, for Sydney. For the full day's wrap-up, 9 News, nightly at 6.
It's JB Hi-Fi Stock Take sellout with crazy deals. Like a 65-inch LG TV for a ridiculous $888. 65-inch 4K LG TV for under $900. That's absolutely nuts. JB, you've done it again.
You think you're in on it, but here's the story. The AFL, 160 years of the good stuff. Once you know a little, you want to know it all. 1,000 kicks, pie politics. If you were in on it, you'd cheer a specky with your normal mates and then be new mates with old mates. With in-jokes and sick clothes and divine oaths and heaps more. It's the AFL, Aussie Rules Footy. The national game with a national backstory. And it's time to get in on it. Visit getinonit.afl.
You're listening to Afternoons on Sydney's 2GB, thanks to Latrobe Financial, Australia's premier alternative asset manager.
About to go 20 to 3. Just back to the election for this moment. The TAB have sent me a press release since last July to win the federal election. This is following the tariff announcement. TAB saying that the global uncertainty has seen Labor's odds crunched to $1.55, the coalition of ease to $2.40 as of today. And it's a pretty dramatic move. Labor were 175 favourites when the election was called on Friday. Coalition were 205. So some money's coming in for Labor. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that's going to be the result. But you do sort of get a bit of a sense that momentum in week one of the campaign has gone the Labor Party's way. Still, 3 weeks, whatever to go before pre-poll voting. But the coalition are going to have to get their act together to start to arrest some of that. I wonder what some of the other betting agencies are doing. I haven't seen, but that's what the TAB say. The Prime Minister's looking pretty good at this stage. Kevin, g'day.
G'day, Michael. How are you?
Good, mate. Thank you.
Listen, I'm just calling about the farmers, particularly the exporters. I guess most people understand farmers are always up against the weather and the commodity price.
Yeah.
With the exporters, it's also the currency. So, our exporters of beef, when they sell to the US, right now our exporters of beef, when they sell to the US, right now with the currency low as it is, they get more Aussie for a lower Aussie-US exchange rate. So they'd rather receive US dollars, and then they would either put hedges or options or anything like that around it to secure their returns. So they're pretty smart guys, whilst the impost of 10% will impact them somewhat, they have enough financial acumen around them to be able to work that into their pricing. And with currencies the way they are and where rates are moving, the Aussie-US will probably go a bit lower still as we cut rates. So, I don't think it's all that doom and gloom. And it is, 10%, so it is one of the lower tariffs that Trump's put in place.
And it was interesting, our previous guest, who's in the meat business, said that even with the 10% impost, ours would still be 7 to 8%, I think he said, 7 to 8% cheaper than the American domestic product. So there is still some financial hope there.
Well, the currency is a big player right now. $1 million US in their hands is about 1.67 Aussie at 60 cents, and at 64 it's 1.56. So the lower it goes, the more comes in their hand when they convert back to Aussie.
That's a very, very good point. Well made, Kevin. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Enjoy your Friday afternoon. There's the horses. There's your cue to call. Okay, off to the prize line you go. 1300 722 873. You want those Easter show tickets? 4 of them to give away in our hot little hand here. 1300 722 873. Call it 10 on that prize line and the tickets will be yours. And if you are the winner and you're there one of the days we're there, come say good day. Love to see you out at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. Of course, there is a happy place for everyone there. April 11 to 22. You can grab your early bird tickets. That's the best way of doing it, ladies and gentlemen. You can save Easter Show. Now, this story bubbled up this morning. It involves an American by the name of Mikhailo Viktorievich Polyakov. Sounds like something out of Dr. Zhivago. But he's from Arizona and he's 24. And he's made the news. He's a so-called danger tourist, okay? He models himself on Tintin. Doesn't look anything like him. But he faces now up to 5 years in prison after illegally sailing to a remote island in the Bay of Bengal and leaving a can of Coke for what's described as the world's most isolated tribe. Now, these are the inhabitants of North Sentinel Island. Now, I remember doing a story on these people, 8 years ago, maybe, I don't know, 6. You lose track of time with COVID, I guess. But they had been approached by somebody else. I don't know if it was this Palooka or somebody else, but they tried to they are like a Neolithic tribe. If you were to go and meet them, it'd be like going way back in time. You're being transported, quantum tunneling sort of stuff. And they have been removed from the development of the rest of the world because of their isolation. And the Indian government, which I suppose a protectorate of them, have banned or limited visits to the island to protect their way of life. Okay, so they don't want to be touched. And, of course, if they were to be engaged, chances are, like a lot of Indigenous people over the millennia, they would be exposed to diseases that would kill them. And so, leave them alone. Leave them alone. But that obviously means as soon as you say no to people, like little children, they always then want to go and do it. And so there's people like this character that then have a go. So, look, I don't know the whole story, but it looks like he got a sort of inflatable raft and headed over there and left a can of Coke on the beach and came back. Now, as I said, that's really dopey. But one of the other things that strikes me as particularly strange is of all the things you could leave a tribe that have never interacted with modernity, of all the things you could leave, a can of Coke? What's that going to do? Wouldn't you leave them something? I don't know. What would you leave them? What would you? If you were granted permission by the Indian government not to interact with these people, but in sort of a sealed way, go and deliver one item from the modern world to this Neolithic tribe that are living in the modern world, although they don't know it, what would you drop on the sand? What would you leave before you skedaddled? A can of Coke? Really? I don't know. I mean, surely you'd try to work out what their language is or something and give them an encyclopedia of sorts so you can sort of bring them up to speed a little bit with how things are going. I don't know. Would you give them a device that has satellite and internet connectivity? A can of Coke, to me, seems rather strange. But anyway, maybe it was inspired by that. What was that movie? What was that movie? It was to do with the tribe down in Africa, down in Namibia or something, and something about the gods. The Coke can dropped from the sky, And they were the ones that speaking the click language. There's something about the gods. I can't. It seems to me maybe he was inspired by that movie, whatever it was called, because there seems to be a slight similarity in the story there. Anyway, 131873, the open line number 131873. We're speaking about tongue of all things earlier, and people making the point that South Korean barbecue restaurants are pretty big on this. Speaking of South Korea, the Constitutional Court there has removed impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol from office officially today. That's 4 months after he threw South Korean politics into turmoil by declaring martial law. Well, that all just went crazy over there, didn't it? Sending troops into the parliament and all the rest of it. The unanimous verdict of the court comes more than 3 months after the opposition-controlled National Assembly voted to impeach him. South Korea must now hold a national election within 2 months to find a new president. I know we have a lot of South Koreans living in Australia and they listen and all the rest of it, so it's relevant certainly to them. But South Korea being an important part of the Western Alliance now in this part of the world, we are better served with stability in Seoul rather than the opposite. 131873. Oh, the movie. Thank you, team. Yeah, The Gods Must Be Crazy. That was it. The Gods Must Be Crazy. John from Northmead. Well done, John. You heard the horses. You're our winner for Sounds of the Show. Look forward to seeing you out there. We're there for, I think, next Friday. And then, so today week, and then all the week leading into Good Friday. So if you're out there at the show, come and say good day. Be wonderful to meet you. We'll be there somewhere near the Woolworths Food Dome, I think. Same spot as we were last year. Really great spot. And you'll hear the parade coming through at about 1 o'clock when we're on air. And you'll get all the atmosphere coming through your microphone and the radio when we're out there from Friday next week. It's 12.5 to 3.
Dan Murphy's don't match prices, they beat them. And with Dan's deals, get Grant Burge Pinot Noir Chardonnay non-vintage sparkling, $16 for My Dan's members. End Sunday. Choose to drink wise. T's and C's apply.
When there's a roofing job to be done, don't trust it to just anyone.
Call us first. Tomcat. We're the top cat in Sydney roofing. We've been around Sydney for over 20 years, repairing, restoring, and replacing tile and metal roofs. For a free quote, call 1-300-866-528 or visit tomcatroofing.com.au. Tomcat. We're the top cat in Sydney roofing. We've been around Sydney for over 20 years, repairing, restoring, and replacing tile and metal roofs. For a free quote, call 1-300-866-528 or visit tomcatroofing.com.au. That's cat with a K. Oh, and don't forget to mention code TOMCAT2GB to receive a 10% discount on your quoted price. T's and C's apply.
Imagine owning not one, not two, not three, but 4 magnificent Gold Coast townhouses. Dream Home Art Union Draw 425 is a $10.2 million Gold Coast life changer. This is your chance to win 4 townhouses in the heart of Surfers Paradise and $1 million in gold. Tickets just $10. Search Dream Home Art Union today. T's and C's apply. Play responsibly.
Go Harvey Norman for the hottest deals on the latest tech. New notebook computers in store now from just $348. Run-out prices on LG 2024 TVs. Big screens, king-size screens, all screens on sale. Save 10% on selected AEG kitchen appliances plus 10-year warranty. And huge $1 upsize deal in bedding. Buy a selected queen-size mattress and for $1 more, upsize to a king. Harvey Norman, hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
For over 38 years, Light and Easy's been making it easy for everyone to eat well. That's why it's no surprise that Light and Easy has once again been awarded Australia's best ready meal delivery service by Canstar Blue in 2025. Light and Easy even have a delicious range of meals nutritionally designed for older Aussies called My Choice. And if you have
hot deals store-wide. Best brands, best range, best prices guaranteed. Conditions and exclusions apply.
For over 38 years, Light and Easy's been making it easy for everyone to eat well. That's why it's no surprise that Light and Easy has once again been awarded Australia's best ready meal delivery service by Canstar Blue in 2025. Light and Easy even have a delicious range of meals nutritionally designed for older Aussies called My Choice. And if you have a home care package, your funding could cover up to 70% of the cost. Call 13 15 12 today.
Dreaming of your next holiday to Europe? Experience Europe with Singapore Airlines. Flying to incredible cities across Europe, including London, Paris, Frankfurt, Brussels and more. Immerse yourself in the rich history and vibrant cultures. There's a destination for everyone waiting to be discovered. Let your holiday begin from the moment you step on board with the world's most awarded airline. Book now through your local accredited travel agent or visit singaporeair.com.
Priceline Pharmacy's mega makeup sale is on now. Save half price on over 7,000 makeup must-haves. Plus, selected mascaras are now just $10 or less. Shop in-store or online at priceline.com.au. Hurry, sale ends Monday, April 7th. Exclusions apply.
Afternoons on 2GB. Unlock Noosa Living with Endeavour Foundation Lotteries. Win a $2.9 million prize home for just $10, mortgage-free. EndeavourLotteries.com.au.
The opposition leader Peter Dutton was in Epping in Sydney's northwest today at a petrol station, honing that message about Labor will give you a small tax cut on the Never Never, will give you the immediate relief in the petrol bowser as soon as we win. It was a good press conference from him. But Andrew Probyn got a message question in. And it was a very good question because one thing a lot of petrol retailers sell in the store are legal cigarettes. Not that they're selling many of the legal ones today because people are going elsewhere and buying the chop chop. So Andrew asked Peter Dutton what he would do about the rise in illicit tobacco. Good question. Have a listen.
But can I ask you about tobacco excise? Cigarettes were being sold inside. The budget showed there was a $1.6 billion drop in tobacco excise in just 3 months because a lot of Australian smokers are turning to the black market. It's worth tens of billions of dollars now in lost revenue. What would you do to fix the problem, given that smoking rates are pretty static?
Can't pretend that smoking rates have reduced because people obviously are buying a black market product. That is obvious, and particularly teenagers, and that's something that we're dead against. So we should be doing everything we can to reduce smoking rates in our country because it's obvious that particularly for young people who are developing an early habit, there are obvious health consequences, and just repeat that message to every Australian that smoking is a bad option. What we would do though, which I think would be quite different from the government, is that we wouldn't allow the bikies who are in lockstep with the CFMEU to continue to run the illegal illicit tobacco market. We would clamp down and we would make sure that, as we did in government, the outlaw motorcycle gangs know that they don't have a place in our society. They are the ones importing the product, they are the ones distributing it, they're the ones responsible for firebombing tobacco shops, etc. And that's an obvious response that we would provide.
That's Peter Dutton earlier today. Now, look, some reasonable points there, but he certainly doesn't look like he'll be touching the excise rate. And unless you do something about that, the market the bikies are feeding off will only grow. You know, the easiest way, it's like with all these issues with drugs, the easiest way to take the criminal elements out is to take the market out from under them. Government with excise have created this market, and they've done it through excise. And it seems that all levels of government, bar a few exceptions, individuals, just don't want to recognise this. Anyway, I don't say that to pick on Peter Dutton. The Prime Minister and the Health Minister adamantly, they're on the record. They're not going to touch excise. They're going to let it go up and up and up and up because they think it's bringing down the rate of smoking. I don't know if it is anymore. What it is doing is taking up the rate of illegal, non-taxable smoking. Is that benefiting anybody? No.
Now on Afternoons, Track of the Day.
Okay, double pass. One last one for the week to Andre Rieu's 75th birthday celebration show. It's a movie. You're going to love it, of course. I've been hearing the ads from Andre. He's sounding good for 75. The song to inspire us, Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli, my goodness, what a star. Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. At long last, love has arrived, and I thank God I'm alive. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes
Now, it was on this day in 1979 that the Australian actor and Oscar winner Heath Ledger was born. In 1999, he performed that song in what movie? If you know the answer, 131873, and the double pass to the Andre Rieu 75th birthday celebration show is yours.
But if you feel like I feel, please let me know that it's real. You're just too good to be true.
Traffic. Got something you want to say? You're in the right place. This is Sydney's 2GB. Send us a text or call 131 873.
5 kilometre westbound traffic jam on the M2 from Beecroft to North Rocks. There's a two-car praying on King George's Road at Roselands. 2 southbound lanes are closed there near Moorfields Road. At Cumberland Highway Northmead, you'll encounter a truck breakdown pointing west near Bryans Road. A praying at Greenacre on Juno Parade near Waterloo Road. Parramatta Road heading west sort of cramps up from Auburn towards Granville, and we've got a lot of traffic south on the Eastern Distributor. I'm Steve Carline on your traffic leader, 2GB.
The continuous call team.
Mark, loved your Ray Warren impersonation. Can you and the boys give us more?
You're off your chops. Bring the fat man in.
Didn't do a rap, yeah?
That's right.
That was crap.
I said I can't do it.
Sound like you just kicked your toe.
The continuous call team, thanks to Macca's, Harvey Norman, Lowe's, NRMA Insurance, Bryden's Lawyers, BP, Tui's, and BizCover. This weekend on 2GB.
Isn't this nice? Experience the ultimate waterfront lifestyle at Woolooware Shores by Anglicare. Luxurious seniors living in the heart of the Sutherland Shire with 24/7 on-site care if and when you need it. Life at Woolooware Shores isn't just a home, it's a lifestyle. A village full of things to do and people to see. Final release is now selling with 2 and 3 bedroom options available. Live the life. Visit woolooware.shores.org.au to learn more.
Hop to it this Easter with Kmart's low prices. Our new catalogue is chock full of value and fun for everyone. Shop decor, dining and more, plus Easter egg hunt essentials from just $1. Kmart. Low prices for life.
That's the sound of asbestos damage to your lungs. Over 4,000 Australians die from asbestos each year. If it's built before 1990, get a licensed asbestos professional. Search Asbestos, New South Wales, a New South Wales government initiative.
I didn't realise I could stick with my industry super fund when I retired. Thankfully, I discovered if I stayed, I could set up a regular income, take money out when I wanted, and the rest can grow over time.
Stick with your industry super fund in retirement. Visit compareyourretirement.com today.
Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance. Consider the fund's PDS and whether the product is right for you.
Hi, you've reached Mark. I can't take your call right now because the Barra are biting, the trails are calling, the fires are crackling, and there's a hot spring with my name on it.
Northwest Queensland is too great to wait. Start your road trip today at queensland.com.
Time's running out to get your $200 electricity sign-up credit. Find out how at energyaustralia.com.au by April 15. New South Wales and Victoria only.
Through coaching, I've really